Is Starfield a make or break moment for Xbox? Many people are looking to the game to be the savior of 2023, if not for the Xbox brand itself. After Redfall debuts to abysmal scores and response, clearly a game that was not ready and an embarrassment, I would say, for Bethesda and Xbox. All eyes are now wondering and turning to Starfield and the Starfield Direct, the Starfield Showcase being officially announced actually just moments before I went live for this stream. And I want to examine two extremes that are facing Starfield. What if it's a hit? Just how good does it have to be a hit? But what happens if this game is a smash hit, and what if it bombs? There's sort of two ditches that I think the game could fall into, one of them being a very good one that could be a runway for the platform as well as the future. And also, I want to revisit my theory about Redfall and the Xbox acquisition of Bethesda. What if that theory is right? Let's consider what this could mean for Starfield as well. Could Starfield be another casualty in Microsoft's strategy? Now, I put all of the good information right here at the beginning, so you don't have to go looking for it. It's a live stream. It's a longer video. That's why, because I discuss it with the live audience afterward. With all eyes practically out of necessity having to turn to Starfield after the abysmal showing from Redfall, is this a make or break situation for the next Bethesda title? There seems to be more riding on Starfield than ever, and it won't just be the showcase, and it won't just be the first sort of piece of property from Xbox. It's going to be a test case of proof of concept. Can Microsoft buy its way to a competitive situation? Can they just start buying property and bring it to market successfully? Because many people don't think that strategy's working out all that well right now with the situation with Redfall. There seems to be more riding on Starfield than ever, as it won't just be the showcase. It won't just be something to play. It will be proof of Microsoft's efforts. The mantra and the motto of wait until no longer feels like a playful jab at Xbox fans. It feels like a sad reality. When Halo Infinite failed to deliver basic features and a solid content plan, fans were told to wait. And some of those plans were completely scrapped and abandoned, and now the future of Halo Infinite is unknown. When the Redfall 30 FPS announcement came, fans were told they would have to wait for a standard next-gen feature of a 60 FPS performance mode. When the Xbox Bethesda Showcase had 25 games on an image, promising that they would show up in the first half of 2023, many of those titles are not making good on that promise. I believe the total is up to 10. That's how many titles did not make the cut. With titles like Silksong actually adding to the total, it was a part of the showcase, and we were told everything in that showcase would be landing in the next 12 months. And yes, I know that Silksong's not a first-party title, but it was shown, and it does really feel like Microsoft spoke out of turn, almost as if they were in some desperate position to regain consumer confidence and to really establish that, hey, going into 2023, there are good things coming, and seemingly very few of them have arrived. Even Benedict, a curious case of Benedict Fox or whatever it's called. I was looking forward to that game. Kind of a weird name, so I forget it. I think it's the Curious Case of Benedict Fox. It looked like a cool Metroidvania, and it's not doing very well either. It's almost as if Microsoft knew 2022 was going to be light, and they had to keep folks committed to the Game Pass funnel. So here we sit, a month away from the next big showcase, with Starfield finally coming to the surface, and Redfall has destroyed any semblance of a runway. So I want to break this down because I do think Redfall has really sabotaged the year for many people, and Microsoft wasted no time taking attention off of Redfall. Like literally the day after it lands, it's getting destroyed by review outlets and anybody with eyeballs. They're like, hey, here's our showcase. Here's the Starfield Direct. They got this nice, logo that they're putting out there. So I want to break this into three parts, okay? First, I want to entertain the question, what if Starfield is a hit, okay? What if this game destroys expectations and blasts off and is a massive hit, all right? The second thing I want to consider is, what if this game bombs, all right? I do think that's a possibility, and that's pertaining to the final portion of this monologue. Lastly, what if I'm right? What if my theory about Redfall is correct, and what if it's true about Bethesda in general and the acquisition and the projects that were mid-dev cycle when it took place? So let's start with the first consideration. What if Starfield is a hit? I'm starting with this because I'm honestly still pulling for Starfield. And not just for myself, and not just for my channel, but because a good Starfield will be better for me than a bad Starfield. That'll actually be better for me. Doing like one stream where I dunk on a game and then I move on, that's not exactly my idea of a fun content plan, all right? I know we had fun with Redfall and the viewership was great, but that's not the kind of content I want to create. I like to dig into games. I like to dig into their systems. I like to spend time with them, and you can't do that when a game flops. But it's more than important just for me as a gamer or as a YouTuber. I want Starfield to be good for Xbox fans and the Xbox ecosystem. They need it. Listen, we all need this to be a win. The market and the general gaming community vibe right now will be able to come down from the volcanic temperatures that we are currently at. Xbox fans are mad, and they have every right to be, but it's making them a little bit more toxic than usual. And Sony fans have their own breed of toxicity. They're celebrating the downfall of Redfall. And after all, I think all the smack talk about Bethesda and how we weren't going to get Redfall on the PlayStation 5. We'd have to buy an Xbox. I mean, I have an Xbox, but that was constantly thrown in my face. After all that smack talk and all that peacocking, I think some of the celebration about Redfall is maybe warranted. Those victory laps feel kind of good after all of the nonsense, and getting called a hater and a Sony pony for simply watching gameplay and pointing out what looks bad is just not something that I think warrants this type of response that we're seeing. But it's time to deliver. Okay? Microsoft needs to deliver. No more buck passing, no more blame shifting. We need a good game. We don't need an asterisk attached to it about features coming later, or, oh, it's a multiplayer beta, or that's going to happen further on down the line. I don't want a roadmap for your updates and your patches. I don't want a little star next to your game that says, oh, 60 FPS maybe, or someday, or targeted. That doesn't happen with Starfield. If it does, then it's going to be in bad shape from moment one. So I want to ask the question, what would happen if Starfield was a hit? I mean, undeniable, highly praised hit. High scores everywhere, exceeding expectations hit, right? I'm talking smash hit, not mediocrity, all right? First, it would reignite confidence. Many bloggers and content creators right now who support Xbox, you can hear it in their voice, you can sense it in their tweets. Confidence is waning. It's like that point in the survival movie where the elected leader doesn't really seem to know where he's going, and the people following start to sense it. It's almost as if people who firmly planted their brand in Xbox are starting to wonder if they made a bad decision. There's an aimlessness to Xbox right now. The brand just feels aimless, and big AAA highly rated games would refocus the brand to what it's supposed to be about. Games, not services, not Game Pass, not acquisitions. It's supposed to be about games. And if you're an Xbox fan, you need to admit that you haven't gotten very many this generation, at least not at the AAA high-level caliber that you were promised. There is that sense within those people that I think is very, very easy to sense. And I don't say this in a snide way. It would give people something to play. If this was a hit, people could start playing video games instead of living terminally on Twitter and constantly worrying about, well, Forspoken was bad. I mean, that doesn't mean anything at this point, except the fact that things are in a bad state, and hopefully Starfield can give you something to sink your teeth into. When I was playing through Horizon Forbidden West or Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok, I didn't have time to argue about how great they were on Twitter. I was just playing them. I was just enjoying them. So that would be the first thing that it would do. It would sort of reignite confidence. The second thing it would do is boost Game Pass numbers, right? Xbox never really releases the numbers. I think it's because they don't want to. It's not probably in a great state right now. I believe it's stagnated. I mean, even according to reports during the Activision deal proceedings, the Game Pass numbers seem to have stalled out. And a $70 highly rated AAA game hitting Game Pass would likely require lots of hours to play it to really get a lot out of it. That would be really, really great for a Game Pass mover. Now, I know there's concerns about that ecosystem and how long they play games if you look at the achievement percentages, but I don't think Starfield would be a game like that. I think most of the people that play it would sink lots of time into it. The third thing that this would do is it would be proof of concept. Can Microsoft buy companies, shrink the reach of the games they buy to just their ecosystem, and successfully bring them to market? Because so far, it doesn't look like it. Redfall is a worrying display of what happens when a game is bought mid-dev cycle, disrupted, and shipped before it's even out of what I would consider to be alpha status. That's what happened to Redfall. It was bought mid-dev cycle, everything got disrupted, and we're playing a game that was roughly built in 2 years. At least that's what I believe. If Starfield launches in a similar state, then anyone supporting the Activision Blizzard deal and couching it as, well, this is how Microsoft competes, you'd have to find a new spin angle and a new narrative to use, because they're not even competing with what they bought currently, and Starfield could be a chance to change that narrative. It would be clear that even when buying big property and games already coming to the market, if the last 20 years isn't proof enough, that just Microsoft can't compete in the gaming space. So this leads to my next question. What happens if Starfield bombs? What if all of our concerns, what if all the gameplay analysis, what if the 30 FPS announcement actually happens? And when I say what if it bombs, I don't mean like if it gets mediocre scores and Sony fans are dunking on it because it's a 74 instead of an 85. I mean, that stuff gets, I think, a little bit superfluous and meaningless. But what I mean is if this thing bombs to the degree that Redfall bombed, that people decried as a mess, or it's not ready, or it's a disaster. Because I'm actually concerned the possibility for that level of failure is quite high. Given the size and scope of Starfield and the similar pattern of their delay, as well as getting acquired in the middle of their dev cycle, it could likely end up like Redfall. And what would happen if that was the case? Well, first, it would be the last straw for many gamers. And I don't just mean fans and consumers. I mean pundits, talking heads, YouTubers, all of them. It would be time to reassess their plans for the future. If you have firmly planted your flag in the Xbox brand and Starfield flops, you're facing a bleak future. It's hard to be confident and to put out those videos and to put in the time if it doesn't even look like Xbox is doing that. Because viewers' confidence and loyalty and their interest in the Xbox brand will diminish. It probably already is. Everybody likes watching a car crash. Everybody likes tuning in for the flop and the dramatic moments. But the long-term curation of a community, growing something that you can do every day with video gamers and people who are interested, that will diminish over time. If Starfield flops, I believe this is a hinge for the Xbox brand. It is big, and it is important. This will lead to people watching less, caring less, and more importantly, they will trust less. If they don't trust you less already, after what happened with Redfall. We've already seen bloggers, outlets, and YouTubers sort of appear as an extension of the Xbox brand. And they should. They've been used for quiet PR pushes and talking point astroturfing, all saying similar things as if they have marching orders, as if they've been DM'd on what they should say. The way the Redfall PR was handled has already hurt many of those people. At least in my estimation, it's taken them down tons of pegs of respect. If Starfield bombs, it would be the last straw for a lot of people. You will likely see content and brand shifts, maybe even complete abandonment videos of like, I quit. You would see the drama. You'd see them try to pivot. I'm done with Xbox. That might happen if Starfield flops. It will be dire because if Starfield fails the way that Redfall has, the situation will be dire. What exactly would you have to look forward to? The only reason Microsoft has a significant offering this year with Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield and Redfall, that was because of an acquisition. Those aren't their studios. They didn't homebrew these games, which people are already trying to hand wave and pass the buck. This isn't on Microsoft. This is on Arcane, and I'm sure they'll do the same thing with Bethesda. The second thing that would happen if this game flops would be Game Pass Exodus. Anyone holding out hope would finally realize they're spending $120 a year for bad AAA offerings and lots of indie titles that they played for less than an hour. To go from a weak cadence in 2022 to a bad and embarrassing one in 2023 is just insult to injury for anyone staying loyal to Game Pass, which leads to my third and final thing that would happen if Starfield bombs. Brand loyalty would reach critically low levels. If hardware sales dropping by 30% already are not an indication that brand loyalty is dropping, Starfield flopping would be the death knell. It would be incredibly hard to come back from a title of this size falling on its face, especially after all the marketing, all the hype, all the delays, and don't forget the price increase. Redfall at $70 in Steam and the Xbox Store is an insult to gamers. It's a display of the disconnect at Xbox. Who thought this was the right year to usher in $70? And to kick the year off with Redfall, you are in the wrong line of work. Starfield will be faring no better if it has a similar launch and a similar status. And that leads to my final thought and question. And I'm going to keep driving this home, okay? What if I'm right about Redfall? What if Starfield is going to be in the same situation? That leaker that everybody dismissed, I just keep hearing him echoing in the background. Starfield is in worse shape, right? This is honestly my biggest concern. What if I'm right about Redfall? Let me give you a quick recap of what I think happened with Redfall. The phrasing from the Redfall director, it doesn't make sense if all they did was halt the production of a PS5 version of Redfall. He said in the exact French translation is, it was a change with a capital C. They came in and said, no PlayStation 5, we're focusing on Xbox. In my mind, that's not a huge change if you're doing parallel development. If you're developing for Xbox and you're developing for PS5 and they come in the room and say, you can stop working on the PS5 version and focus your attention on Xbox. That's not change with a capital C. That's actually helpful to bandwidth. That's helpful with efficiency. But it is a huge change if you're changing direction. I believe that Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop were in contracts to be one-year exclusives, and they were already in talks to do it with Starfield, and I believe they were in talks to do it with Redfall. And that would mean the game you're building would be largely built for PS5 in the beginning, and then you would use that 1 year of exclusivity to port the game to Xbox. Even recently, Final Fantasy 16, they said, we're not going to be able to port it to PC in 6 months. We're going to need longer than that. Well, a year would be plenty of time, especially if they started even right before the game lands on PS5. So the no PlayStation 5 is pitted against we're focusing on Xbox. That's the change. That's the pivot. So my theory is that Microsoft did not scrap a version of Redfall for the PS5. They scrapped the first 2.5 years worth of work. And the blatantly obvious, unfinished, not ready for public consumption Redfall that we got this week, I believe that was built in 2 years. The proof's in the pudding. That's not a game that was in development for 5 years. I don't believe it. And you shouldn't either. I simply refuse to believe that Arcane Austin built what we saw in 5 years after all the titles they have made up to now. One of the devs literally tweeted that the game was landing after 5 years of work. I think both the creative director and the dev are trying to let us know. Because anybody with a brain and experience in dev cycles, they know that Redfall is not a 5-year game. It's barely functional. So if I'm right about Redfall, and that delay into this year was because they weren't ready to push out this cobbled together minimum viable product, what about Starfield? It might make sense of why the Starfield gameplay debut was a bunch of very individual slices of the game. There was different performances in all those different areas. Lighting and shadows, they change. It was like we were looking at 3 or 4 different versions of Starfield. People smarter than I have broken this game down from a technical aspect and made those observations. There's a similar delay pattern with Starfield. There is a similar dev cycle, similar acquisition timing because it's Bethesda. Consider the pattern up to that point. Deathloop and Ghostwire are timed exclusivities. Sony and Bethesda are allegedly in talks to have Starfield be a timed exclusive. And then look at Todd Howard's blog in the wake of the Bethesda deal. Okay? In the wake of the Bethesda deal, on September the 21st of 2020, Todd Howard wrote an official Bethesda blog post. And this quote, I'm just going to keep coming back to this quote. It's a ghost in the room. It's haunting what could have been. Quote, like our original partnership, this one is about more than one system or one screen. That first sentence is so important. Todd Howard is saying this is like our original partnership. This is not about one system. There's so much in here. He goes on to say we share a deep belief in the fundamental power of games, in their ability to connect, empower, and bring joy, and a belief we should bring that to everyone regardless of who you are, where you live, or what you play on. You can't read that quote and not think Todd Howard did not think they were going to rip Starfield from PlayStation and they were going to rip Redfall from PlayStation. They were already in development. Why would you take mid-dev cycle games and do that? Well, when you're Microsoft and you treat video games like software, it makes perfectly good sense. Hey, that's ours now. It's going on Game Pass. That's the focus. That's what the director of Redfall has said. He is basically saying in this quote, he's saying that they did not expect games in production to be messed with. Maybe not even future games. Todd said that they believe they should bring their games to everyone, regardless of what you play on. He said it's not about one system. Microsoft walks in the room and says, your biggest projects right now, Starfield and Redfall, capital C change time, no PS5. Consider the fact that Microsoft told the regulators it would be case-by-case basis. Imagine being Bethesda, hearing that, believing what Todd Howard wrote to be true, and then immediately all your current projects and future property are claimed as Xbox exclusives. Even Pete Hines confirmed in an interview that exclusivity was never in their mind until acquisition. He went further. Speaking to GameSpot, he apologized. He says, all I can say is I apologize. I'm certain that it's frustrating to folks. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. You can hear it. It's beneath the surface. This was not a decision that they welcomed. It was not a decision that they expected. So the leaker that everybody was quick to dismiss, unsurprising, some of the super pro Xbox and Microsoft outlets were quick to dismiss this leaker. His batting average keeps going up with time. Redfall wasn't ready, he said. Starfield's in worse shape and Bethesda wants it to land in the fall. And here we sit. Redfall couldn't be more not ready. It plays like a cobbled together tech test. And June launch date versus a September launch date? Is that going to be enough to fix the problems in Starfield? Just imagine how bad Starfield is if the leaker is right, which he seems to be right. How could anything be worse than Redfall? How is that even possible? I can give you a really, really big reason why it's possible. Starfield is the reason. It's a bigger game. It's far more ambitious. And if they were speccing for a PS5 build and a one-year exclusivity deal, and the same thing that I believe happened to Redfall happened to Starfield, it would be devastating to production. I truly hope that I'm wrong. I hope the leaker is wrong. But currently, it's hard to hold out hope for that. We saw Redfall for what it was when we saw the gameplay, and I tried to warn people, and I was called a hater, I was called a Sony pony. Well, where are all your heroes now? All your PR spin machines that misled you. They misled the public about Redfall. What are you going to call them? They can backpedal, they can flip-flop all they want. History is never kind to dishonest people. So, if the same red flags start cropping up for Starfield, and we get assurances about how great it is, and we can sense that something in the gameplay is wrong during the showcase or after the showcase, well, batten down the hatches, because we will be in for a real storm, one that will make Redfall look like a spring day. So let me give you my thoughts and my conclusions. Now more than ever, Xbox fans and the gaming world are looking to Starfield to save the day. While Hi-Fi Rush was a bright spot in the beginning of 2023, I tried to warn folks that it was a little too early to celebrate. There's still a lot of the year left, and the Xbox showcase in Starfield could be a chance to turn things around. Forza Motorsport and many other titles are not making it in the first half of 2023, and we don't know their status or their release dates. For many, Starfield will be enough to claim victory regardless of its condition, because even lukewarm water is refreshing in a desert. But for the rest of us, after all the promises, after the delays, if it doesn't hit high quality, it will feel like the final blow to the Xbox brand. Number 2, pay close attention to those already hedging and preparing for Starfield to not stick the landing. I saw a tweet claiming that Starfield's not important. Game Pass is the product. Game Pass is the exclusive. And then they went on to say that Microsoft was pushing quantity, volume, and value. dizzying. First and foremost, quantity and volume are synonyms. They basically mean the same thing, and typically they are commonly seen as antithetical to quality and value. In other words, if you're pushing quantity, if you're pushing value, quality goes down, value goes down. This is a basic axiom of business. When you're mass producing something, when you're driving quantity, your value and your qualities tends to plummet. Now, pretending that Xbox can just throw money and quantity of games at us because, Game Pass, that's the exclusive, that just seems like a really weird way to say that you're okay with mediocre or garbage games. But it's more than that. Many talking heads and fan accounts are laying the railroad tracks already, blaming Bethesda and Arcane for Redfall rather than examining what might happen when Microsoft buys a company and disrupts development in the middle of the project's dev cycle. They're already preparing to blame Bethesda for Starfield, and I've said time and time again that this would be the case. If Starfield is a triumph, I have no problem saying it's a win for Xbox, and it would certainly be a sigh of relief for Bethesda. But that also means if it flops, it's a massive fail for Xbox, and Bethesda will likely be concerned about their future. In other words, Starfield cuts both ways. Just like all the property Microsoft has purchased cuts both ways. Stop shielding Xbox from its failures and only celebrating its victories. It makes you untrustworthy. And worse, it just shows a lack of self-respect. Hold platforms that you claim to love accountable. I made a Jedi Survivor video and a video about the Last of Us PC port, and I called them out. I called the companies out. I talked about the quality and the disappointment and how bad and embarrassing they were. Why? Well, because I expect better. At least those of us that pay for games expect better. And that leads to my conclusion. Maybe we truly are seeing the divide in the gaming community right now. Those who pay for games can't believe what folks will put up with just because it's on Game Pass, and folks who live in the Game Pass ecosystem can't believe that others pay $70 for a single video game. If Starfield is just another casualty in Microsoft's fight to compete with quantity rather than quality, it makes me worried about all of the titles under their ownership. At this point, Xbox has two chances to win back my trust and my tenuous loyalty: Starfield and Hellblade 2. So for now, we wait and we watch and hope that they somehow shake the curse that's been hanging over them for 20 years. And that's the show open. I am really looking forward to discussing this with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We made it under 30 minutes. We did it. We did it. I did a show open in under 30 minutes. It's a record. A monologue in less than 30 minutes from the verbose, the uncopyable, the ever mockable because of my great hair, Reforge Gaming. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it so much. We appreciate all the love and support, both on Twitter and on YouTube. On our way to 1,000 viewers, make sure you are smashing the like button. You guys are the absolute best. Cheap, good, fast. You can only have two. That's right. Make sure you guys are doing all of the things. You can start the member goal for the day. Every 25, I give 5. We are having an enormous sale on the coffee. This is marked down to $10.95 and the lights down to $12.95. So make sure you go to reforgeroast.com. Take advantage of the sale. No codes necessary. Just buy it up. Get it through. The coffee, the new dark roast bags are in Louisville. After the CMA decision temporarily silenced a typical fan excuse of the wait is over, the guys I interact with went right back to Game Pass, bro. Love it. If Starfield struggles, it will be the same. Yo, my man Fat Lump upgrading to a VIP. Don't forget the end of the week VIP unfiltered debrief. My man Creature, my producer, joins me for that. You really, really want to make sure and upgrade. Love the A-Team shirt. This is from 80s Tees. You can use code Lono over there at 80s Tees to get 30% off. You're basing your viewership 100% on Xbox hate. What are you talking about Xbox regaining your faith? You're out of business if you don't hate on Xbox. I know you like to run that narrative and people on Twitter like to run that narrative, but I have seen most of my channel growth from big game launches that go well. Elden Ring in particular. New World was really good for me. The first couple weeks of Halo Infinite was really good for me. I actually make better results and growth when games are doing well. It doesn't work for me that now Redfall's behind us and we don't really ever get to talk about it again. That's actually not been my content plan. I mean, it's an easy thing to do, right? You live terminally on Twitter. You saw me kind of have a blow up on Twitter. Homie, I've been streaming over here since late 2021. I've most of my content has been about live events, game coverage, game launches, Summer Game Fest. Those have been the biggest moments for my channel. Like, again, you live terminally on Twitter. You think what you see on Twitter is my content. It would be so much better for me. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret that YouTube and the way that I do content, I never really run out of things to talk about. It's all a matter of the perspective. My ability to come back and say, I was wrong, Starfield's a hit, or if I would have come back and be like, dude, I was wrong, Redfall's a hit, that would have been just as good of turnout, just as good of a show. Like, there's no limit on how you can cover things like this. Whether I'm right or I'm wrong, it makes for good television, because we're having discussions. So, snide little remarks about how I built my brand, you're just believing propaganda on Twitter from people who don't like me. So that's fine. You can not like me and come up with weird, dismissive ways to explain my success, but none of it's true. Like, it's just, you just sound like a delusional person wanting to dismiss what I'm saying. In fact, today, I argued in the opening of the show, I said, what if Starfield's a hit? I actually believe that Starfield has the potential to be a hit. If you go watch all my past broadcasts about Starfield, I spend more time defending Starfield than I do attacking it. I've spent numerous streams defending the NPCs in Starfield, what they look like. I've explained automation to people. I've explained the permutations of dialogue and the number of dialogue lines in Starfield, making it okay to have faces that are a little more automaton, a little bit more mannequin. I've done that. I've gone down into like the descriptions of dev and size of these games and explained like it's totally okay for NPCs to look this way. Again, I've actually spent more time defending Starfield in my coverage of it than I have attacking it. My concerns about Starfield, this has been sort of my soundbite that I've tried to give people. Every time I look at Starfield, my concern is not, can they make a great RPG? Can they make a fun game? No, that's never been my concern. My concern has been performance. Will the game run well? Will it be ready for market? That's been my number one concern about Starfield since the very beginning. Because of the Series S, but also because of their first showcase. There's problems with the game in the actual showcase. 17 months from dev side. As an Xbox player, I want the best for Xbox. All eyes are on Starfield. PC, here I come PC, here I come if it flops. On your Redfall gameplay show, you yourself admitted that your viewership is good only when hating on Xbox games. No, see, now you're misquoting and just lying. That's not what we said. We said that we've always struggled to get viewership for any gameplay because I'm primarily a talk show. So now you're just lying. That's not what was said. I didn't say my viewership's better when I'm hating on a game. I said my viewership's better when the game is bad. There was some werewolf game that we played years ago. It was one of my most watched videos. Why? Because the game was bad. But when I try to play good games, viewership tends to flounder. Now, we did have good results from Hogwarts Legacy and Elden Ring. If it's a game that can go the distance and there's fun things to do, we've actually seen better results from gameplay recently. But again, my brand is a talk show, and once I start playing a game, the talk show's kind of over. I will say this as African Jedi. I main Xbox. I have all consoles. I have to disagree with you when I say the only thing we get on Game Pass is mediocre games. Okay, I want you to list, because in the context of what I was saying, African Jedi, I said mediocre AAA games. Tell me how many highly rated AAA games you have received since the Series X launched. In 2.5 years, how many high-level AAA games have you received? Because that's one of the dialogue points that people put out there. Oh, you pay $70 for PlayStation 5 games, we get games on Game Pass. Okay, add up all the money you spent on Game Pass. If you spent $120 in 2020, 2021, and 2022, if you spend $120 every single one of those years, that's $360, okay? That's 360 divided by the 70. That's 5 games. That's 5 $70 games. Have you received 5 $70 AAA titles? Have you? Oh, well, all the indie titles. No. You receive mediocre AAA games on Game Pass, and then they pad with a lot of indies. Okay? And as good as Hi-Fi Rush was, that was a AA game. That was a smaller project. You know? It's $120 a year, guys. The standard Game Pass subscriber is picking $10 a year. People keep throwing out the $15 a month. No. 15's for Ultimate. 15 is for Ultimate. It's $120 a year. Game Pass is $10 a month. $120, I played 40 different games that everyone in my household enjoys. Again, I'm not saying that Game Pass doesn't have value. In the context and in the discussion of, I can't believe you pay $70 for AAA games on PlayStation 5. If we're going to do a comparison, how much money have you spent? And how many big level $70 AAA games have you received on Game Pass? That's the question. Game Pass is not $10 a month. I pay $15 for Ultimate, do I not? Do I have it wrong? I thought I paid $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. I'm already having to pay $10 a month for Xbox Live Gold, so I'm paying $5 a month for a Game Pass Ultimate. It's not $10. That doesn't include Gold, which is required to play multiplayer. Now, hang on a minute, though. We're talking about Game Pass. Don't start baking in other price points. If I go right now and I sign up for Game Pass, it's $9.99, and then it's $15 for Ultimate. I swear to you, that's what it is. You guys are baking in other stuff. It's $15 for Ultimate. Game Pass per month. It's $10. I swear to you that it is. There's no way I have this wrong. I'm paying $15 a month for Ultimate. Where is it? I don't want Ultimate. I just want Game Pass. Yeah, there it is. Console Game Pass is $9.99 a month and Ultimate's $15. Stop with all this. It's $15 a month. That's Ultimate. Ultimate includes like other stuff. Like what's it include? PC, and it includes EA, doesn't it? I think it includes PC and EA Play. Game Pass Ultimate's $15. You can cancel at any time, as you mentioned. It includes Live Gold, Game Pass, PC, EA Play. Yeah, come on. You guys are throwing me off here. I was like, I don't have this wrong. Okay, so back to what I was saying before I was interrupted by people who needed, research and buy a calculator. $10 a month, $120 a year. Okay, that's $360. Oh, you're comparing top tier. That's not the discussion I'm having. $360 is what you've spent since the Xbox Series X has launched. And if you're going to come at me and be like, you're over there paying $70 for games like God of War Ragnarok, you're a sucker. I'm looking at you and saying, you spent $360. How many top shelf AAA games, how many $70 games did you get? How many? The Halo Infinite campaign? Who, you want me to laugh? Forza, I'll give you Forza. Flight Sim, I'll give you Flight Sim. Right? Everything else, what? Are you kidding me? Are we actually going to try and have this competition? Listen, that's the point. You should be demanding better because you were promised better. A $2 tip from Rice Eater. PlayStation Plus is 800 games plus new and old for 120. Greenside with 18 months of membership. If you're not using your rewards that come with Game Pass, you're wasting money. I got Hogwarts through Game Pass rewards for free. Take 75 off that 180 a year. No, I'm not doing that because that's not the discussion. That's something that I have to go and do extra and like, oh, I got to cash this. No. You don't get to do that. We're doing dollar for dollar, pound for pound comparison within AAA. Why? Because that's what people bring up. Oh, you're paying $70 for God of War Ragnarok. Yeah, I bought God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West last year. I bought 2 games. Okay? How many big AAA $70 games did you get last year on Game Pass? They're not making fun of me for buying indie titles. Don't you see? You can't create false equivalencies. You can't be like, well, we get all these indies, we get all these double A's. No, that's not what we're discussing. I'm not buying a bunch of double A's and indie titles on my PlayStation. If I buy an indie game, I typically try it out on Steam because of the refund policy. Because if it's bad, I can refund it. There's a lot of indies out there that are kind of stinky, right? So that's the point. If we're going to contrast value and spending, and you're going to come at me for spending 70, or anybody else who spends 70 on PlayStation, then make a fair comparison. That's what I'm saying. What I'm not saying is that Game Pass doesn't have value. Game Pass's value is amazing. My kids use it, right? I use it. It's a great value. But it's not a AAA high-level funnel of games. Quit trying to claim that it is. You count MLB The Show as AAA on Game Pass? That comes out every year. I mean, I'll give you that one, and that's certainly a great reason to have EA Play and the Game Pass Ultimate, because, paying for those games every year, that's not benefiting you. Getting a discount on those games through EA Play or getting a game like MLB The Show, like the sports games, there are certain people who certainly get more value out of Game Pass. It's subjective. I was simply pushing back on the notion that it's ridiculous that you pay $70 for new games. Look at us over here on Game Pass. And my question to you was, how many big AAA $70 titles have you received? You're making fun of me like you're over there swimming in big AAA titles. You're not. And you were promised one every quarter. So, don't you see? I'm not saying that you can't get value out of Game Pass. It was a very specific comparison. Don't understand why people shout down those who want better quality. Right, like, I want better quality. Imagine how good. I want you to imagine something with me. Because we're looking at Starfield, and we're looking at the Starfield Direct, and we're asking, is this a make or break moment? Track with me here. If Redfall was a 9 out of 10 smash hit, don't you think this conversation would be a little bit different? Don't you think it would be different? See, Lono? Do you see? All you people that said Game Pass was going to hurt the quality of games, you're wrong. I can't wait to play Starfield. I'm more confident in Starfield now than ever. That's what you would say. So my question is, why doesn't Redfall shake your confidence? If a 9 out of 10 Redfall would have boosted confidence and would have been a representation of the brand and the future for Xbox, when it falls flat on its face, does that not shake your confidence? Honest question, not bashing. Because, homie, I'm looking at Starfield. I want to be Captain Picard. I wanted to make the Starship Enterprise. I wanted to play this game for a very long time. I wanted to have a more linear, more intentional No Man's Sky, and it looked like Starfield was going to give me that. And I'm looking at it, and my confidence is shaken. I'm like, oh my gosh. They bought these freaking companies, and these games were mid-dev, and Microsoft walked in the room, and they effed everything up. They scrapped work, changed direction, and that's why I'm telling you, Redfall was built in 2 years. I believe it in my bones that it was built in 2 years. And that makes me look at Starfield and go, oh no. And that makes me look at Hellblade 2 being included in the Game Pass trailer and people being like, oh, does that mean Hellblade 2 is coming this year? The CEO of Hellblade 2 said they were not in full production, and that was in the summer of 2021. That means if they ramped up almost immediately after that, which they probably didn't, that game's roughly been in development for what? In a month, it would be 2 years exactly. 2 years for Hellblade 2? Do you know anything about dev cycles? That's a crazy, ambitious Unreal 5 game. That game's not getting built in 2 years. And if it comes out in that span of time, we have our answer. That's the Xbox way. Shrink the dev cycles and shove the games out. 6-foot mouse with 5 months of membership. Nobody's talking trash on people spending $70 for great games. If they are, it's a cope. Spending $60 on decent games is different. Well, I mean, I'm willing to spend $60 on a decent game. It's when it's bad is the problem. If it's a decent game, Yo, what's good, Cowboy? I had to avoid you yesterday because I wanted to play it without any outside influences. I gave it a 6. I don't think it's a terrible game. It's just not up to standards. Oh, I think it's a terrible game from the top, from its teeth to the tip of its head. Yo, what's good, Taylor Made? He says, big love. Thanks for 12 months, Taylor Made, and it's a VIP. Look, we got guys renewing. We got guys jumping back in. You should jump in, become a member. We do members debriefs. The member debrief today is going to be a little bit longer because we're only doing this one show, so that's a great reason to be a member, and you can get in our Discord. Use Reforge Roast as an example, says Suede. I can go to the local Mega Mart and buy coffee cheaper, but if I want a quality product, I pay premium for a premium product. That's right, and balance acidity. $5 from Stella Rhyme. I don't touch Game Pass on a monthly tier. I only use Game Pass for Starfield. I'll pay $10 to try Starfield for a month, and that's it for me. Listen, you're frugal, but you're also a flaw in their plan. Because lots of people are going to do what you do. That's one of the flaws with Game Pass. Matt Booty said they wanted to make more AA games that are AAA that are as AAA as possible. That's Hellblade 2. I need you to be careful with what you say about Hellblade. Because I love Hellblade 1. I think it's my all-time favorite game. That game means something to me. I've played through it 3 or 4 times. At a psychological level, at a spiritual level, that game means something to me. And don't you start saying, oh, it's a AA game. Are you kidding me? Have you played the first game? Now, maybe in scope and size. It's not super long. But Hellblade 2 is ambitious. Hellblade 2 does not look like a AA game to me. In order to get a AAA game every quarter, they need to shove them out. The 2-year dev cycle is coming, says Cliffo. Crenab says, I'm watching SkillUp's Redfall review now, and how the F is this even around 60 on meta? This needs to be 40 max. Well, because you have people out there giving it 80s and 90s. Because they want to stay in Microsoft's good graces. They can't even afford to be honest. Like, literally, that game is on fire and burning, and people are giving it 80s and 90s. Like, they're literally not a review outlet. They are quite literally a part of Xbox marketing. You are no longer a review outlet when you give a game like Redfall an 80 or a 90. You're not even a review outlet anymore. You're just an Xbox marketing firm. That's all you are. I didn't like Hellblade, sorry. Not everybody has to like it. Just don't start saying it's going to be AA. Get the frick out of here. You can't march Hellblade out. Listen, all y'all that were watching that presentation, you're like, yeah, Xbox, because they did like a presentation with Hellblade 2 and the main voice actor, and they had her walk out and do all this stuff, and you're like, yeah, that's going to be so awesome. You can't look at cutting-edge technology and Hellblade 2 and be like, yeah, it's a AA game. Matt Booty said if Hellblade 2 is exactly the same as Hellblade 1, they'll be happy. They want games as close to AAA as they can do. I hate this quote so much. Right, because what he's saying is Hellblade 1 was wonderful, and if we can get it exactly the same as that, then that's a triumph. I think he's selling them short on their ambitions. Lono is the exact opposite of ADHD. This man's ability to focus on different topics and generate a beautiful and accurate response every time is nuts. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Broken AI, empty world, bad gunplay, unintentionally hilarious graphics on Game Pass. 9 out of 10. The game industry is infested with the same hacks that give terrible movies good reviews. A $5 tip from East Coast Overlord. Look at you go! Thank you so much, East Coast. Solemn coming in and saying, I don't use and pay for Xbox with the expectation of brand new $70 first-party games. I've been paying for it for years and play all the rough gems that I didn't think were worth the max price, that I didn't know about. Listen, that's totally fine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with somebody taking Game Pass and saying, I can squeeze a lot of value out of this. What set us down that trail is the discussion. Somebody thought I said all you get are mediocre games. I was talking about mediocre AAA games. Like, that's the point. If you're okay with mediocrity out of AAA offerings, and you're looking at all those indie titles and you're thinking, bro, I'm saving so much money, homie, dive all the way into the pool. Good for you. Seriously. My daughter got to play Hi-Fi Rush. She's installed some of the other Game Pass games and tried them out. That's awesome. I would never sit there and just buy games for her and be like, yeah, here, try it out, kiddo. See if you like it. You don't? Oh, well. Like, I would never do that. So, yes, there's value to be had in Game Pass. I was pushing back on the idea that, like, oh, yeah, we get AAA games. Not right now, you haven't. How many months has it been since a successful big AAA title has hit Game Pass? If you're okay with that, more power to you. But at least own it. AAA, didn't they say they have a quadruple A studio? Rice Eater with another $5 super chat tip. PlayStation Plus has dozens of JP games and franchises you can't even find on Xbox, much less Game Pass. Never understood media praise for Game Pass for more money with less games. Well, it's different games. What you know what I'm saying? If you're comparing subscription services between Netflix and Hulu, what are you going to go add up how many movies and TV shows they have? No, you're going to say, what do they have? Super googly with, I believe that's like a $10 super chat tip. Breath of the Wild's overrated. Tears of the Kingdom probably will be once again. I don't think Breath of the Wild's overrated. Guys, y'all are doing super chats. You can always opt to gift members instead. That's what we push here. Every 25, I give 5. Let's get this going. This thing's looking sad over here. We're almost an hour in. Yo, what's good, Captain Steve? I want Starfield to be good. Don't have an Xbox, but I want the bar to be risen, so Sony has to try to compete. Games this year other than Hogwarts and Meet Your Maker have been at best. Listen, Steve, I don't know if you're tuned into what PlayStation is doing. I think they are competing. This, admittedly, is a thinner year for PlayStation. It is. It is. They did what? They did the 2 big games last year. This year it's a DLC, a really great third-party relationship with Final Fantasy 16, and then Spider-Man 2. Okay? And then you got to get all those other titles in there. Resident Evil 4, Call of Duty. Like, you got to fiddle in all those other relationships that they have. So I actually don't think we can look at PlayStation and be like, oh, they're not competing. Right? Yo, East Coast Overlord renews and says, dang it, Google. He must have been trying to say something. Can I have a recap? Missed the start. Let me wait just a minute before a recap. We don't have any members and we don't have enough likes for a recap. We have 1,000 people here and we're at like 300 likes. Come on. You don't get a recap when we're sitting on these bad numbers, chat. Hey, Atherin gifts a membership and it goes to my man, Captain Steve. There you go, my friend. Guys, you want to be a member this week. My wife's going to play Redfall on Friday night. She's going to play it and give her honest thoughts as a non-gamer gamer. She's kind of turning into a gamer. She's put in like 56 hours in Hogwarts. More to Know Show says, I suspect Starfield's going to be a solid 8 out of 10. I certainly hope so. I would take that. The second gifted member of the day from East Coast Overlord. Thank you so much. And it goes to E-Guitar Player. All right, let me give you a recap. So I'm entertaining the question, is Starfield a make-or-break moment for Xbox? Because with Redfall lying face down in the mud, many people are looking to Starfield to save the day. And Xbox seemingly knows how to handle their marketing because literally today, they come out and they say, here's the showcase date and time, here's the Starfield Direct, nice logo, looks real fancy, right? Have you guys seen it? Yo, Deaf Side, thank you so much for a gifted member. We're going to do a single gifted member train. You guys don't have to do these big member bombs. Just do it one at a time. That's totally fine. East Coast Overlord says, no. He's like, no, I don't want to do one at a time. He drops a 5 bomb on chat and takes us to 8 members on the day. That's the way to do it. Where is this showcase image? I'm going to just scroll on Twitter until I find it. That's how I search for things. Like a boomer on Facebook. I know it was here somewhere. Sally posted an image like 2 weeks ago. And you just scroll and scroll and scroll. Yo, Gale Force just upgraded to a VIP. You don't want to miss on those unfiltered VIP end of the week debriefs. We end every day with all the members. But I'll tell you what, we end the week with the VIPs. It's a really easy upgrade. It's $5. Very easy upgrade. $5 to upgrade. And then you get to see all the goodness. You get to see behind the scenes. Here it is. Whew, it took me a while. I got it. Here you go. In the wake of Redfall falling flat on its face, they pushed this out. Because listen, if there's one thing Microsoft knows, they know how to market, okay? They know how to market. And they're like, okay. Everybody listen. We've got something for you. We got a wallpaper. We know Redfall was bad, okay? We know Redfall was bad. We're sorry about that. But we have the Starfield Direct coming for you. What's good, Eric Rodriguez? Gale Windforce hits 10 months here every day, so might as well be a VIP. Like clockwork. Yeah, like that. Redfall sucks. Better push out the thing for the Starfield Direct. Yeah, like Creature saying. On to the next thing. That bad thing didn't happen. On to the next. Did you guys know that Lono is actually bald? He takes the wig off in the VIP streams. Check it out by upgrading your membership to VIP. We don't want to false advertise. So many people would be so mad. I thought he was really bald. Gaming on hope at its finest. I blame this on sub-service model in entertainment. I don't know why Xbox would want to be Netflix. Here's the thing I want to push back on. Okay? Here's the thing I want to push back on. Because everybody keeps saying that Redfall is Game Pass effect. Game Pass effect, baby. That's Game Pass effect. Hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. I don't agree with you. And here's what's funny. I'm one of the people that has been out here saying Game Pass will have a value deteriorating effect on games. Big juicer with 10 months. I'm guessing the PlayStation Showcase coming June 8th to seal the spotlight. No, June 1st, because June 8th is when Summer Game Fest kicks off. I don't think they'll want to share the day with Summer Game Fest kickoff. They'll do, I believe that the PlayStation Showcase will be on June 1st, the first Thursday of the month. They did the same thing with their State of Play last year. 9 gifted members on the day. Chronic Spin Dash says, I'll join the member train. Hop on this member train, get us to 25, and then I owe you 5 members. All right, here's the thing. I still believe that Game Pass will have an effect on games' value. I do. But hear me out. That's not what happened to Redfall. What happened to Redfall was mid-dev cycle disruption. They were in the middle of the dev cycle because one of the developers went out on Twitter and said, oh yeah, we were making that game back as far as 2017. It's a 5-year game. And in the middle of that dev cycle, Microsoft comes in and disrupts the whole thing. East Coast Overlord gifts a membership to Aradimus. Thank you so much. Getting us to the 10 mark. Members on the day. Don't sit around and wait for a gifted member, man. Jump in. Join on your own. Hit the join button. Hit the $sign button. Let's see some white badges from non-gifted. Hear me out on this. If you look at this image, I'm going to keep coming back to this image because this is Todd Howard, September of 2020. And he's like, listen, guys, like our original partnership, this one's about more than one system or one screen. Listen, guys, this is just like our original partnership. This is not about one system. And then Pete Hines comes out in the wake of everything and apologizes and says exclusivity wasn't even in our mind prior to the acquisition. Do you understand what they're saying? Pete Hines says, it's out of my control. He says, it's not up to me. When someone says it's not up to me, what they're saying is, if it would be up to me, we wouldn't be doing this. So you have this trajectory of Microsoft buys Bethesda. They tell the regulators, we're going to handle foreclosure strategies on a case-by-case basis. Todd Howard walks out and he says this. The higher-ups at Bethesda, the higher-ups on these projects, they had no idea what was coming. No idea. 5 gifted members from Barrier coming in. Thank you so much, Barrier. He takes us to 15. Thank you so much for all you do for this community, Barrier. Goes to Fresco Dinero, Irene, Seraphim, Sasha Perez, and Grim. You guys all got gifted memberships. It's my belief. I don't think the creative... No, it's not the creative director. I don't think the director of Redfall said what he said by accident. I don't think Pete Hines said what he said by accident. I don't think Todd Howard penned this blog by accident. It is my belief that Microsoft walked in the room and was like, yeah, we said all that, but it's not a case-by-case basis. Your current projects, I don't care if they're mid-development. No PlayStation. I don't care that you were in talks about doing a 1-year exclusivity. No, we're not. You're not doing that anymore. It's ours now. They wasted no time. They walk out into the public and they're immediately referring to these games as Xbox property and Xbox exclusives. Even Elder Scrolls. Even the future of Fallout. It's all theirs. I don't think Bethesda thought that's what was going to happen. I don't. And that's why Starfield's make or break. Starfield's make or break. Because Starfield's going to put on full display what happens when you disrupt the dev cycle, you shrink a game down to one ecosystem and make a bunch of promises. At the end of the day, I don't see Starfield pushing the dial forward when it comes to space games, not with space and planetary being two totally different separate instances. I prefer what No Man's Sky does. I think as long as Starfield gameplay nails the RPG, it'll be monumental. If they can nail the RPG, if they can nail going to planets, getting quests, getting loot, if they can nail that, then I think it'll be a very memorable game. It will be not a Skyrim moment for them, but it will be sort of a turning point for Bethesda. Okay, Fallout 4 and Skyrim have their own good things and bad things, and then Fallout 76, okay, you guys finally fixed that. Okay, cool. But, you know, and then Redfall is underneath Bethesda. Starfield could be that turning point that, like, okay, Bethesda's back. This is what they're known for. Rice Eater with a $5 super chat tip. No matter if Starfield's a broken game, it will be a financial success on PC, since PC gamers will buy and fix it, but may spell the end for Xbox focus. Here's the mistake in your prediction, Rice Eater. All signs point to Bethesda games selling better on console. We went back and looked at this. They shrunk their primary consumer audience. They shrunk their primary revenue funnel when they said no PlayStation 5. They're gonna lose a ton of money in that regard. Now, they're willing to do that because they're hoping that makes their platform more respectable, makes Game Pass more of a magnetism, right? Yo, I don't know if YouTube is freaking out or what. The back end is losing its dadgum mind. We had a nice big hump and rise, and then we immediately plummeted. I don't know if you guys are having trouble and having to refresh. The viewership's all over the place. If you're having to do that, I apologize. Maybe lower your quality settings. It might help. That way you're not getting any bufferings or refreshes. I tell you what can help is smashing the like button. There's way too many people here to not have 500 likes. That'll help this video find more people. Fallout 76 killed a lot of the fan base and faith in Bethesda. Skyrim in space, it's like chocolate and peanut butter. It's going to be hard for them to mess that up. I tried asking this yesterday, but do you think there's any chance that Bethesda can push back at all against Microsoft? The evidence is mounting that Microsoft tactics aren't working. I really, really want everybody to consider what the leaker said. His batting average has gone up every month. He was decried as not knowing what he was talking about. The pro Xbox outlets shredded him. And now all of a sudden, it looks like he knew more than they did. It looks like he scooped them. Because he said Redfall wasn't ready. It needed more quality of life. Clearly not ready. He said that Microsoft wanted Starfield out in June. Starfield was in worse shape, and Bethesda wanted it pushed into the fall. So Redfall is not ready, and Starfield's coming in the fall. Is anybody worried yet that this guy was right? That this guy had good intel? What are you going to do with 3 months? Seriously, think about it. If Starfield is in worse shape than Redfall, the size and scope of this game, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Kick has been fine. Okay, good. I don't read Kick as much. Sorry. The skill up review is rough. Hard to watch how bad the game is. Oh, it's bad. I actually liked Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition, but I admit I hadn't played an RPG in years before I played it. Wake me up when Nintendo releases their first party day one on a subscription service. They won't do that anytime soon. No, they won't. I hate to make this an Xbox versus Sony thing, but how can you not read headlines about Insomniac growing to 520 employees? Housemarque, the developer behind Returnal, they're growing and expanding. Guerrilla is expanding and hiring more people. All these studios under Sony's ownership are expanding. What happened to 343? Layoffs, downsizing. What do you think's on the horizon for Arcane Austin? What do you think's on the horizon for Bethesda if Starfield crashes and burns? All that time making fun of Jim Ryan and the virtuous cycle and how he said, if we put games on a subscription service, it breaks the virtuous cycle. We like to reinvest in our studios. And we got all these studios expanding. Tango's expanding. Oh, one studio. The smallest studio? Come on. Their home studio, their homebrew game. Halo, downsizing. Tango. How big is Tango? Is there a pattern of expansion at Xbox? I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm seeing downsizing. I'm seeing creative directors leaving. I'm seeing layoffs. I'm seeing more of a pattern of shrink and people quitting. People leaving Playground Games to go start studios. They're losing people. People are leaving or getting laid off. And you want to point to Tango? Tango's not proof of anything. One studio in a sea of studios. There's a pattern of the studios under Sony expanding and not shrinking. Yo, Brooklyn Breed, my man, upgrading to VIP, taking us to 244 VIPs. I want to see 300 VIPs by the end of this week. A $2 tip from Richard Rodriguez. The bots owe IGN Redfall player an apology. Doom's probably the last big Bethesda game. It's always the same thing, never learn, says Jesus. Overhype, overexpect, and end up let down, even after they've told you many times they're not pursuing AAA quality anymore. You see the disaster before your eyes. Breaking news, Fortnite is on Amazon Luna. What's that? Is that their cloud thing? Took me 1 hour to get YouTube to upgrade me. They don't make it easy. They don't make it easy. I tell you what we could upgrade. We could upgrade that like count. We're right on the edge of 500. We're right on the edge of the member goal. We're only 10 away. Let's keep it going. Let's keep upgrading. Upgrade complete. Sorry, because I criticized a bad game, and after I played it, I liked it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. It seems like the fanboys are taking L's for so long that it's the norm. Listen, I don't like making it about that, but the thing that I noticed on Twitter and the thing that I noticed from the people that went so hard for Redfall, it's like they've been infected with the Microsoft DNA, right? It's like they've been infected with the Microsoft DNA. It's hype, PR, and when it crashes and burns, they turn their back on it. It's like a playbook. It's like a playbook. Hype it, hype it, hype it. This game's going to be amazing. Look at all the dialogue for Redfall leading up to it. Look at all the hate that people like me got for just pointing out what were clear problems with the game's performance. Hate, spitting in my face, calling me a Sony pony, because I have 2 eyeballs and a brain, and I've played shooters since Wolfenstein 3D, since the first shooter ever made. I can see a bad shooter when I see one. You're sitting here selling me plastic apples and calling them pears. I know what I'm looking at. And then as soon as it's out, and as soon as it's crap, they just immediately turn on it. And they're like, yeah, it's bad. It looks like it's from 2013. It's Arcane. It's on them. They did a bad job. And now, look what Microsoft handed them. Here you go. Here you go. We know it's dark out there, little buddy. We know it's dark out there, little buddy. Here you go. This is all you need. Just use this. Here you go. Now they've got something to talk about on their podcast. Now they've got something to put in their YouTube videos and their Twitter feeds. Redfall's burning. It's burning. And they're like, yay! There we go. Time to move on to the next thing. Just like Asman, I judge the book by its cover. You want me to think it's going to be a good book? Make a better cover. Yeah, controllers. Yeah, look at what happened when all the Redfall stuff was breaking. What were they all doing? They're all talking about controllers. It's astroturfing, bro. They're literally astroturfing. They're going out there with pre-made talking points and marketing plans. Yo, my brother Derek doesn't have a membership. Someone's got to take care of that. They're doing the age-old Orwell saying of rejecting the evidence of their eyes and ears, and that's what people want you to do, Lono. They want you to reject the evidence of your eyes. I was never excited about Redfall anyways. Always looked mid. Well, don't you think that's interesting? I haven't checked to see if we've sold any coffee today. You'd prefer the Sony way for Redfall, right? Cancel the game, shut down the studio. You're funny. No. I never said that. I never said that. I prefer the Sony way of selling a premium product at $70 and expanding their studios like they're doing with Insomniac, Guerrilla, recently announced Housemarque. I'm fairly certain that Santa Monica is also expanding. That's what I prefer. That's the Sony way. Selling a premium product when it's ready, and then reinvesting in the studios. Come on. We got some coffee orders that I need to shout out. People taking advantage of the Reforge Roast sale right now. Thank you so much to Aaron Crabtree. He grabbed 2 bags of light roast. 3 Frickmasses go to AOZ. He also ordered a black mug. Thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for those coffee orders. Guys, don't forget reforgeroast.com. This isn't not some sponsor. They're not going to send it to you from some warehouse. Like, this is, my wife and kiddos ship this to you. You're supporting a small business when you buy our coffee, all right? I'm not like shoveling somebody was saying in my comments today that we're shoveling some copy-paste coffee. No, we have a direct relationship with a roaster, and it's sent to us. It's when the dark roast shows up, it's on a skid in boxes. Like, we're not working with some like fly-by-night copy-paste coffee company. People are so desperate to like make crap up about people. Twisted Sin with a $5 super chat tip. Here, guys, have some nail polish controllers. Don't look at the trash fire in the corner. Look, if you guys are just tuning in and you're having a good day, I'm having a good day. We're having a good discussion. We are discussing, is Starfield make or break for Xbox? Okay. Here's a question that I have for you. Because a lot of us looked at Redfall and thought 30 FPS is a deal breaker. A deal breaker. What if Starfield is great, but it's 30 FPS? Where does that put the game? Like, I'm having a hard time with that one because I feel like the dialogue will shift. If the game is good, but it's 30 FPS, we're going to get all this I play games, not frames dialogue. We're going to minimize everything we were promised for Series X. We're going to minimize everything we were promised this generation and be like, it's a good game, who cares? You guys are just being picky. $5 tip from Jericho. All the studios Xbox bought in 2018 have expanded. Look at Playground, 150 to 350. Okay, but you're looking in the past. I'm looking right now. Right now, Jericho. That's my concern. You are correct. Microsoft corporate, if you consider all of Microsoft and gaming, their employee counts have gone way up, and their layoffs haven't made much of a dent. That's fair pushback. The concern is that there's more layoffs and more downsizing coming because it didn't work. It didn't work. Where are the games, bro? You expanded all these studios. Okay, where are the games? A $5 tip from Black Sausage. Perhaps that one more thing at E3 is 2021 was Xbox throwing in that the face of PlayStation that they couldn't have them all exclusive. Boy, did that land terribly. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Hank Kloppers gifted a membership. He pushes us to 16 members on the day. Thank you so much, sir. Eugene with a comment. Yoshida did an amazing interview a few weeks ago, and it was pretty eye-opening into Sony's approach. They will cancel projects that are far along if they think it will release poorly to hurt the brand. I'm so glad you brought that up, Eugene, because I read that article and I referenced it in another video, I think. I forget what video I referenced it in. Anyway, he basically said, we cancel games all the time. And he's like, I'm always trying to convince the developer that I'm saving them. He's like, I'm saving you. Listen, I'm saving you, okay? We don't shove something out just because you've worked on it. Consider that with me. Sony cancels games all the time. Yeah, see? What, so they should shove out a game that's not ready? Would you rather have Redfall just been quietly canceled 3 years ago? We wouldn't even be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about it. Microsoft takes the software approach. Shove it out and fix it later and then move on. Do you understand? If they would have taken the investment approach, they would have said, cancel Redfall. We want Arcane Austin working on a smaller project. We want Arcane Austin working on, 2 smaller projects. If you take studios like Arcane Austin and you have them working on smaller projects for Game Pass, that's more value than what we got in Redfall. Wait, Lono Lamau, then why didn't they cancel Dreams? That's my pushback. One game. Well done. That's what you guys always have to do when you're trying to push back on the Sony Microsoft comparisons. You have to come with one example. Well, they canceled Dreams. Okay, how long was Dreams out before it was canceled? That's not what we're talking about. You're not understanding the point that we're making. If Sony is constantly canceling games in the back end that you never see come to light, and Microsoft just keeps shoving stuff out before it's ready, Halo Infinite, and now we have Redfall. Even the Curious Case of Benedict Fox didn't get good reviews. Nobody's even talking about it. That was another game front and center in their showcase. What happened to it? Where is it? Dreams was canceled 3 years after release. Eugene says they didn't cancel Dreams. Dreams was in development for 10 years. Waste of potential. Dreams just isn't getting new tools. Yeah, it sounds like you're really misrepresenting what they're doing. They're not canceling Dreams. It's not getting any new tools. They're shutting down support. It was in development for 10 years. It's not seeing the results they want to see, and they're like, no, we're done with that. That's what they should do. That's not what Redfall is. That's not what Halo Infinite is. Follow the logic with me, says Zyber. Push out Redfall as a really bad unfinished game so we can push Starfield out in a slightly better condition and say, at least it isn't Redfall bad. Oh, homie, if that's the strategy, oh my. That's real bad. They just ended further support. They pulled the plug on Dreams. Dreams is community driven. I haven't heard a peep about Benedict Fox. I was looking forward to that. I love Metroidvania games. I haven't heard a thing about it. Other than it's got middling reviews. A $5 tip from Atherin. One thing you haven't brought up is how the Series S will affect Starfield. A massive game with that bottleneck must be difficult. I'm so tired of banging on that drum. That's why I didn't mention it in my show open. people are going to learn. You're going to learn. And guess what they'll do? They'll blame Bethesda. That's what the Xbox fan does. You never blame Daddy Microsoft. You never blame Xbox. It's always somebody else's fault. It's Sony's fault. Sony did this. It's Bethesda's fault. It's Arcane's fault. That's what they do. They can't blame Daddy Microsoft. They don't have the ability to. It's not in there. They go to their skill tree and it's just not there. Jet with a $5 super chat tip. Every time Bethesda released a multiplayer game, it was bad. Same with Wolfenstein 76 ESO, also bad on release. Elder Scrolls Online was bad on release. I remember playing it and thinking it was just fine. Flintlock was supposed to land in the first half of this year. Where is it? Where is it? Where's Flintlock? It was promised to land in the first half of this year. I listened to a stream playlist called Synthwave by Stream Tunes. Synthwave by Stream Tunes. Iron Galaxy's fault? No, I didn't blame Iron Galaxy. I blame Sony and Naughty Dog. I blame Sony. I blame Sony and Naughty Dog for the PC port of The Last of Us. You see the difference between me and the people who will never point at Microsoft and Xbox? I pointed the finger right at them and said, "This is embarrassing. There's zero ownership. There's zero transparency here. How dare you do this to your massive first party property?" Do you want to know why I can do that? Because this isn't a Sony channel. Sony channel can't do that. You can't break. Actually, funny enough, I think a Sony channel could do that. Go to all the main Sony channels. Go to them. I bet you they called out The Last of Us PC port. I bet you they did. I bet you they made videos on it. Do you want to know why? Because the consumer base pays a premium price. And when you pay a premium price, you expect a premium product. And when you don't get it, you will complain. You won't accept it. Do you see the difference? I guarantee you, go to Sony channels and Twitter accounts, and when that thing fell down the stairs, they had no problem calling it out and being like, "What is this? This is an embarrassment. This is bad. This is below your quality standards, Sony." Why can I do that without fear of repercussion? Because Sony fans are going to say, "You're exactly right, bro. I didn't have anybody get up my nose about my Naughty Dog video. I didn't have anybody get mad at me or downvote the video." Why? Because they expect excellence from Sony. They're like, "We're paying $70 for games, brother, and if you take one of our flagship titles over to PC and you treat it like that, that's embarrassing." That's the difference. There's no threat to me. But for some reason, if anything bad comes out of Microsoft, it's never their fault. It's never Xbox's fault. Halo's not on Microsoft. It's not on Xbox. It's not their fault. 5 months from evidence. Xbox just tweeted, spoiler alert, we'll be talking about games. Tune into Xbox Game Showcase followed by the Starfield Direct. Yeah, I know. I've been showing the image. I appreciate the heads up. Sony guys are really irritated Factions isn't out yet. Yeah, I actually had a lot of guys get mad about that. I had a lot of Sony fans in here debating me about the Last of Us Part 1 remake not including the multiplayer. They thought that was cheap. And I was like, Factions is going to be free. Who the frick cares? Reason I'm pushing back on Dreams is because everyone's acting like Sony hasn't made a huge blunder with their first-party teams. If Dreams didn't get a BAFTA, this cope wouldn't exist. I never said they never made a blunder. They've never made a blunder with their first party. I just roasted them for the Last of Us PC port. That's one of their shining stars in their first party catalog, and they treated it like crap. Come on. The Dream situation is not them saying, let's shovel out crap and ignore it, or let's shovel out crap and try to fix it and then cancel it. Dreams is not an example or an equivalency of what Microsoft does with its property. No Face Lore with a $5 super chat tip. Don't understand why folks are throwing Arcane under the bus and not Microsoft when we get some heavily implied evidence that they may have scrapped. I know where you're going, No Face Lord. I know where you're going. Not you, Lono, the real Sony ponies. I know you're a real one. Well, I appreciate that, Taco. What No Face Lord just said in his super chat tip, I really think is why I wanted to make this video today. Everyone's throwing Arcane under the bus. We have good evidence that Microsoft walked in the room and disrupted the development of a piece of property in the middle of its dev cycle, and we're all going to act like that has nothing to do with Redfall's quality. Wake the frick up. Wake up. You're asleep. If you think in 2020 that game had been in development since 2017, Redfall's 2.5 years in its dev cycle. The average dev cycle for a good game is 5 to 6 years. They're 2.5 years into their dev cycle, and Microsoft walks in the room and says, stop what you're doing. That game is now for Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. And then you look at the results and you look at Redfall and you're going to go, it's clearly Arcane's fault. You're literally asleep. Your head is 6 feet under the ground and you're conked out. You are not paying attention if you think that's the reality. It's Arcane's fault. Yeah. They're known for making games this bad. I mean, 5 years in development. I mean, we have to ignore Prey and Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2 and Deathloop and Ghostwire. We have to ignore all these other games under the Bethesda umbrella. We have to ignore all those good games from Arcane. Got to ignore all that. Surely, it took them 5 years to build this. No, it took them about 2.5 years to build what you're playing with. Redfall has been in development for 2.5 years. At least the Redfall that you're playing. Microsoft has blame, but as management of Arcane, you have to push back against something like this if it happened. Lawrence, I love that you said that. Do you remember when Redfall and Starfield got delayed? You remember that? What did Phil Spencer say? Remember what he said? Phil Spencer said that that was the result of conversations with the dev teams. And he likes dev teams to own their date. Don't you see? They already did push back. They're like, brother, we're not going to make the cut. I just press pause for a minute. Just press pause. Look at the state of Redfall. Okay? And then rewind the clock to last year. Just how bad do you think that game was last year? And Microsoft's out here promising it to you. It's coming, baby. Here it comes, baby. And Bethesda, their marketing is also pushing it out there. What's going on? Who's calling these shots? Oh. And let's just establish a pattern of behavior, shall we? Do you guys want to do that? Let's establish a pattern of behavior. This is always fun. This is always fun. Who, pray tell, is the one that's overshooting in their promises? Who, pray tell, is the one that's walking out and not making good on their promises? Let's examine the situation, shall we? Microsoft walks out in the Xbox Bethesda showcase in the middle of 2022, and they tell you this is all coming in the next 12 months. Keep in mind, there are games not included on this image like Silksong, and they said all games shown during this showcase are coming in the next 12 months. And look what's happening. Starfield, not making it. It's landing outside of this window. Forza Motorsport, not making it. It's landing outside of this window. Stalkers, not making it. They get a pass. But again, Microsoft's talking out of turn, bro. Why are you out here saying Stalker 2 is coming in the next 12 months? You got a lot of nerve putting Stalker 2 on there given the situation. And then Lulu Cheng wants to tweet about Ukraine. Sit down and shut the frick up. Why are they on here? And then Flintlock. Is Flintlock going to make the cut? I don't think so. I've been told Replaced is ghost dropping. We have no date on Replaced. Arc 2's been delayed to next year. Redfall launched without a 60 FPS mode, so it clearly wasn't ready either. Who has the pattern of behavior of saying stuff's coming, stuff's ready, and it's not? Is it Arcane? Is it Bethesda? Or is it Microsoft? Who has the pattern of telling you, here it comes, wait until, just around the corner, and then it doesn't happen? Is that Arcane doing that? Is that Bethesda doing that? No! It's Xbox. The pattern of behavior of telling you stuff's coming, of telling you these games are around the corner and they're not ready, it's Microsoft. They spoke out of turn, and they likely continue to do so. Oh yeah, here comes Redfall. Here comes Starfield. Nope. Those developers probably fought tooth and nail to get this game's delayed. And then you got a leaker that everybody wants to throw under the bus, and he tried to frickin' tell us. He's like, bro, Redfall's not ready. Microsoft wants Starfield out in June. Bethesda wants to push it to the fall. It's in worse state. And you guys want to throw him under the bus? Look at the pattern of behavior. Xbox is nothing but broken promises at this point. That's their pattern. You have 10 games. 10 games out of 25 not making the cut. And it's more than that if you start adding in titles like Silksong. Now, there's rumors that Silksong is going to be like a surprise launch or something. Again, we don't know. If they do that, if they come in June and they just start like, shadow dropping stuff, yeah, cool. I don't think that's happening. I think Microsoft speaks out of turn. Why? Because that's their MO. They just sort of pitch you this vision, and when you buy into the vision, you ignore the failures. $2 tip from Thrifty. I missed the last hour. Can I get a recap? We basically broke down two scenarios. What happens if Starfield's a hit? What happens if it's a failure? I said if it's a hit, it's going to regenerate confidence in both gamers and the pundits and the YouTubers. It's going to boost Game Pass numbers, and it would prove the concept that, like, listen, we can buy property mid-development and bring games to market. Even though we're shrinking the reach of it, it can still be a success. That's what would happen if it was a hit. If it's a flop, I would say it would be the last straw for many. And again, last straw not just for gamers, but for YouTubers and pundits alike. They'd have to reassess their business plans because you can't really plant your flag in Microsoft anymore as a gaming funnel of content to cover if Starfield flops. I said there would be mass Game Pass exodus and that loyalty would get to critical levels. And then I ended the opening monologue by saying, what if I'm right? What if Microsoft walked in the room mid-development? What if this promise from Todd Howard, they did not expect their games to get shrunk, they did not expect their games to get ripped out of their dev cycles and restructured. They didn't expect that. Even Pete Hines has said they weren't even considering acquisitions until the Microsoft bought them. And Microsoft tells the regulators, it'll be case-by-case basis. They likely told Bethesda the same dadgum thing, and then the minute they own them, they're like, everything you have is ours now. Oh yeah, mid-dev, you're 2.5 years on Redfall, we don't care. No PS5, it's Xbox now. Starfield could likely be in the exact same scenario because insiders said that Starfield was headed towards timed exclusivity on the PlayStation platform. And look at the pattern leading up to that. Deathloop, timed exclusivity from Bethesda. Ghostwire, timed exclusivity from Bethesda. I think Redfall was headed to a contract. I think Starfield was headed to a contract. And Microsoft stepped in and said, no. And what did they do? With all those billions spent on Bethesda, they just ruined another game. Because they can. Now do you know why the Activision Blizzard deal is so concerning? When a company can drop that kind of money and just crap out something like Redfall? Gibbs take with the 2-spot. Keep speaking facts. It's appreciated. Redfall would be good after a year of updates when it becomes irrelevant. You missed my second super chat. I am so sorry. $5 from Twisted Sin. How much do you want to bet that the footage from last year was from the canceled build? The footage from this year was a huge downgrade. Oh, just you wait. Just you wait. We're going to learn the truth about Redfall one day. We're going to find out. You know all those cinematics? Why aren't those cinematics in the game? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? I can tell you why they're not in the game. Because they built the game in 2 years. And they had to use their storyboard artwork and their concept artwork for their cutscenes. That's what your cutscenes are in Redfall. It's concept art. It's storyboards. All those cinematics, they're not in the game. They couldn't be properly integrated, probably. Because the loading handoff in that game's terrible. Just going in and out of your base, there's freaking loading screens. That's why those cutscenes aren't in there. Go watch all those amazing cinematics. They're not in the game. Like, go look at them. They're amazing. And they're not in the game. That's all the proof you need that Redfall was built in 2.5 years. The real project never came to light because Microsoft walked in the room and shuttered the whole thing. Instead of just saying, we own you now, eyes on the horizon. Let's get Redfall and Starfield out. Let's honor your development flow, and then we can start focusing on the future. That's not how Microsoft operates, because Microsoft doesn't invest in their studios. They just shovel crap out. It's just a software approach. Courage with a $5 tip. If Starfield falls, I'm done with Xbox. Or fails. I feel Xbox is the new Peter Molyneux. What's with Redfall's proportions? Who modeled it after that? Yeah, I don't know. Everything looks like a big head mode Fortnite model. It's so weird. They look like Fortnite models that have been like inflated with air. It's so weird. Skillup released a Redfall review. I give you a hint. He uses the word catastrophic. Yeah, it's bad. I don't think people realize just how bad it is. Like, it's absolutely terrible. I said yesterday, Redfall's not even a video game. It isn't. It's like a cobbled together tech test. It's a walking meme machine. I like doing it once they're out of chat, Creature, because then it just doesn't draw attention to it. Cowboy says, Lono, if Redfall was delayed, what do you think would be different about the game besides the 60 frames being added? Cowboy, I love that question. Delaying Redfall wouldn't have done anything. Do you want to know why? Microsoft killed that game when they walked in the room in 2020. They did. They killed that game when they walked in the room in 2020, and 2.5 years of work was scrapped. I believe that. That's not me being a Sony pony. That's me understanding dev cycles. I've read the interviews. I've done the research. I looked at what happened to Anthem. I've listened to developers talk about dev cycles. I've listened to developers talk about parallel development. I've listened to them talk about how pipelines and project flow works. And I'm here to tell you that when Microsoft walked in the room, people did not understand that when that director said that, do you want to know what he was saying? He wasn't just talking to us. He was speaking to the development world at large. Anybody with any history in development read that interview and thought, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They were 2.5 years in the dev cycle, and Microsoft walked in the room and scrapped everything. He wasn't saying, yeah, we were doing parallel development and we got to drop the PS5 version and just focus on Xbox. It's not what he said. You got to go read what he said. He said it was a capital C level change. If you're a developer and you hear that, you're thinking, oh my word, Microsoft killed the project in 2020. There's another guy from Arcane Lion who said that Microsoft didn't believe in Redfall. That kind of fits, doesn't it? It's like they didn't believe in it. They're like, listen, just get this crap out the door, right? Just shutter the project. Just put it together, cobble it together in the next 2.5 years so we can put this thing on Game Pass. I'm still saying that it was an apology to PS5 players and a cry for help and a warning, says Thrifty. Why is Bethesda getting the blame, but Arcane is getting a pass? I'm not blaming Bethesda or Arcane. College says, is it official that Microsoft stopped whatever Redfall could have been before 2020? Well, Colin, okay, let me break down the timeline. And this is relevant to Starfield. I'm not trying to do like a Redfall 2.0 stream from yesterday, okay? But it's so relevant. It runs parallel. It's like a tandem bike, right? Starfield's out in front pedaling and Redfall's in the back looking at the trees, just dragging the bike into the gutter. Just ruining the runway for Starfield. They're in sync here. These are related. That analogy is just amazing. Anyway, according to Redfall developer on Twitter, Redfall's been in development since 2017. What that means is that the developers were 2.5 years into the dev cycle. If you speak to any developer, you got a 5-year dev cycle and you're halfway through it, and you get acquired and the company walks in the room and disrupts what you're doing, that's tectonic. That's why he said it was a capital C level change. They were 2.5 years in. So when that happened, it is my belief that the pattern up to that point, the pattern was so clear that there was an insider that was shocked at the announcement. He was shocked because Deathloop had secured a 1-year exclusivity deal with Sony, Bethesda title. Ghostwire Tokyo had secured a 1-year exclusivity deal with Sony. That's a Bethesda title. He said they were already in talks about doing it with Starfield. Now, why in the frick would PlayStation be talking to Bethesda about doing a 1-year Starfield exclusivity if the game was being built for Xbox? Why would you do that? That'd be a poor spend. That'd be an ineffective ROI. Like, we're going to spend money. It would have delayed the game. It would have taken longer. The only reason that you would be talking to Bethesda about bringing Starfield to PlayStation First for a year is, I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but the PlayStation 5 is the better console to build for. Did you see what happened to Ghostwire when it came to the Series X? Are you hearing the dialogue about how it's easier to get games to run on the PS5? It's easier to optimize. The architecture's better. Matt Cerny really... Mark Cerny. I always want to say Matt. Mark Cerny. He really listened to the developers. You got Final Fantasy 16 devs saying that Final Fantasy 16 would still be in development if it wasn't for the power of the PS5. The memory, how fast it is, the architectures, all of that stuff. I'm telling you right now, Redfall was in a similar runway. Man, we really like making games with this PlayStation 5 dev kit. It's great. We really like making games for this PlayStation 5, man. This is awesome. And internal dialogue was probably already circulating about it's really tough to get games to run on the Xbox ecosystem because we have to downgrade the game for the Series S. If you think a developer the size of Bethesda, a company the size of Bethesda, if you don't think those developers were already talking about the challenges and like they were leaning towards a platform, Microsoft sensed what was happening. They heard the feedback. Microsoft improved and included more memory in their dev kit for Xbox. It was minimal. It made no difference. So Microsoft knows we're in trouble. Bethesda's a big company. And if they keep trotting out games with 1-year exclusivity deals with PlayStation, and if one of those games is Starfield, we are in a bad situation. Because these companies are leaning towards PlayStation. Nobody saw this at the time, but that's what Microsoft was doing. They were trying to stop the tilt before it happened. And buddy, it's happening now. The tilt is here. Imagine being a developer, a publisher, and hearing the creative director, I'm sorry, not the creative director, hearing the director of Redfall say, yeah, Microsoft walked in the room, big C-level change, no more PS5. And then look at Redfall. Imagine being a developer and seeing that. Imagine being a developer and looking at the horizon and seeing Starfield and thinking, here we go. Here we go. Look at the dialogue around Final Fantasy 16. Look at the dialogue around Ghostwire Tokyo running not as good on the Series X versus the PS5. Just listen to Digital Foundry talk about the differences in the systems and talk about the differences in the games and what the developers are saying. Even Jez Corden said that he's speaking to indie title makers like indie companies and AA studios, and they're not confident in the Game Pass model. Homie, Microsoft knew what was happening. They were about to get lambasted. And what they do? They tried to stop the bleeding. They snag Bethesda, and they basically say, no more. No more, PlayStation. No Starfield for you. No Redfall for you. A $2 tip from Andrew. 60 FPS doesn't change the core game, which is boring. I agree with you. Chrono Odyssey is PS5 bound. Get a closer look at the upcoming open world MMORPG with gameplay dive from its creators. Does look good. If I was a game dev, I'd tell the publisher coming in to tell me to change mid-dev cycle. I'd tell them to get out of my office. Can't really say that to Microsoft, brother. Like, listen to what they're saying. If you listen to what the director of Redfall said, he said that was a capital C-level change. And then this is how he phrased it. He said, they said no PS5. What did Pete Hines say? He says, it's not up to me. Like, listen to those phrases. Those are people telling you, we wouldn't have done this. This wasn't the plan. They're smiling through the pain. It wasn't up to me. It wasn't up to me. They're the ones that said to do this. This wasn't our decision. This wasn't an us conclusion. It's not like they came together and they concluded that this is what was best for Starfield and Redfall. Microsoft, very clear. I want you just to go back. Go back to all the times we've talked about the Activision Blizzard deal. And how many times did we say that as soon as the ink was dry on the ZeniMax contract, Microsoft was like, all that property's ours. And what's everybody always said? Well, they had every right to do that. They had every right to do that. Okay, let's grant your point. They had every right to do that. You're correct. But do you think that was conducive to dev cycle? Do you think that was conducive to a good product coming to market? To disrupt dev cycles and say, you're in the middle of a giant project. We're going to completely change course here. Skin Tight Salmon, who is a brand new member with a white badge, has gifted 10 members and has rolled us past the 25 goal and has pushed us to 26. You guys know what that means. We roll over to the next goal of 50. I owe you 5 every 25. Thank you so much. That's so kind, Skin Tight Salmon. Do you understand what I'm breaking down to you? I'm breaking down to you what happened. This isn't tinfoil hat. This isn't Sony Pony. This is Microsoft saw what was happening. And they looked at the dev cycles of their own studios and they said, we are screwed. Carlos with 2 months, 1,000 people and only 500 likes. Take a second and hit the like button. Thank you, Carlos. We just hit 600 likes, so let's set our sights on 700. You guys hit 1,000 likes on yesterday's stream, so keep pushing. Imagine an alternate universe. Let's do the Doctor Strange thing, and let's imagine a different universe. Imagine a universe where Bethesda pushes Redfall and Starfield as timed exclusives to Sony. Just how bad would Xbox look right now? What would you have? What would you have? Let's look at the release schedule. Right? Who's behind this one? Who's behind this one? Okay. You wouldn't have Starfield, you wouldn't have Redfall, and you wouldn't have Hi-Fi Rush. So you'd have virtually nothing last year from your big studios, and you'd have virtually nothing this year. This year would be Forza Motorsport. Tyler with a $2 tip. Redfall reminds me of Friday the 13th. Like, I'm being serious with you. This isn't doom and gloom. This isn't Xbox hate. I think Microsoft sensed what was happening. They're like, we are already dead this generation. Look at their hardware sales as proof of that. Like, they're like, we're already dead. If 2022, because think about it. Oh my gosh, think about it. Starfield would have come out on time in 2022, and so would have Redfall. So last year would have been Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and then two first-party exclusives. I'm sorry, timed exclusives. Two timed exclusives from Bethesda. Like, just wailing. Yo, Rogue Gaming with a $5 super chat tip. I'm a mobile gaming channel. It's sad to say, but Redfall feels like a mobile game. What are y'all's thoughts? It doesn't feel like a mobile game. I would say graphical fidelity-wise, it looks like a mobile game. A brand new member from Poot Lovato. You guys can become members, by the way. You don't have to wait for gifteds. You can do what Poot just did. A wonderful name I get to say. Poot Lovato. My kids love saying Poot and Toots. They would love your name. I remember when Phil Spencer said he felt confident when he saw the PlayStation 5 reveal. Ghostwire was last year as well, so 3. Yeah, you'd have had 3. If Arcane's next game is a banger, then I'll believe Redfall wasn't at least half their fault. I don't know what they're working on next. I mean, again, it's Arcane Austin, so like Arcane Lion could come out with a great game. You know what I'm saying? Different studios. Pre-launch, Xbox fans kept talking about having more 120 FPS games, and now they're defending paying $500 for 30 FPS. The game's going to bomb just like Redfall. People just don't know how to do a job these days. The Xbox new IP needs to include Poot. It does. Guys, don't forget we're having a huge sale on coffee. It's there in the chat right now. $10.95 for the holiday blend. And $12.95 for the light. Dan's-tastic. He's fantastic. Hang on a second. I got to answer this. This might be about the coffee. Hello? Yes. Yes. It's the coffee. Okay, I had to take that call. I had to take that call. Coffee's getting here tomorrow. Dark Roast getting here tomorrow. Dark Roast and the new bag's getting here tomorrow, and the bags are black. So this won't have to go here anymore. This is Microsoft. We need to talk. Yeah, it was Phil Spencer. It was. He was like, man, you're beating us up, man. You got to stop. Listen, you guys should buy some coffee. Help us move through that inventory. A $5 tip from Brett Williams. Remember Phil saying he doesn't believe in exclusives? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Listen. I'm not in the business of misquoting people. He didn't say he doesn't believe in exclusives. Okay? Phil Spencer said a lot of things about exclusives, and they're not mutually exclusive, okay? He has said that they see a future with less exclusives, okay? He's not a fan of exclusivity, but he also conceded in an Xbox On interview that exclusives are part of the business. They're marketing beats for the consoles. I don't like doing that. I don't like taking him in one spot and being like, yep, Phil Spencer says that exclusives are the devil. Like, come on, he didn't say any of that. And I actually don't think he's speaking out of turn, because the CFO basically said the same thing. The CFO of Xbox said, you're going to see less exclusives going forward. We're going to go for a first, better, best. First, better, best. Timed exclusivity. A $5 tip from Rice Eater. It really begs the question, what were all those 2018 Xbox acquisitions for? Microsoft didn't release anything at the end of the Xbox One gen, and 2023 would be barren without Bethesda. That's a wonderful question from Rice Eater. Like, right, you buy all this stuff, you expand all your studios. Somebody just told me that starting in 2018, they've been expanding all these studios. Where are the games, bro? Where are the games? 5 years, man. Come on. That's plenty of time. No Face Lord with a $10 super chat tip. Microsoft started to increase the value of Game Pass. Doesn't seem feasible when it seems like they can't nail their first-party titles. Hi-Fi Rush seemed to be well into dev, but look at Halo's latest title. That's exactly right. Xbox shifts away from third-party exclusives is a big reason why they're in the state that they're in. He said less and less, but invested in exclusives right after. I'm not going to sit here and act like those things aren't at odds with each other, but I also don't want to make it seem like, yeah, the dude walked out and straight up lied. I don't... both things can be true. He didn't lie, but he also... but it's also like you can't expect somebody like that to walk out and be like, yeah, man, less and less exclusives starting now. Like... those plans were already in place, and less exclusives means he believes, on their ecosystem especially, you're going to see a downward trajectory of exclusives. That doesn't mean there won't be any, there'll be less. What I'm hearing from some of you in chat is, you go Xbox because that's where your friends are. That's reasonable, but that isn't a defense of the lack of quality of games. Right, that would be like saying, I like going to this restaurant because I know the owner and the waitstaff, but that's not a defense of the food. If the food's bad, if I go to that restaurant on your recommendation and I don't have the rapport with the waitstaff and the owner, and I'm like, dude, the food's bad, why do you go there? And you're like, oh, I know the waitstaff and I know the owner. That has nothing to do with the quality of the food. I don't think it's fair to blame Phil Spencer. He isn't the only one making decisions. There's an entire boardroom. Yeah, they have people like him out on the front line, so when things go bad, they can fire him, and he'll be the scapegoat. No one will question upper management. No one will question Microsoft corporate. No one will question their business structure. They'll just be like, yeah, it was Phil Spencer's fault. You know? It was Phil Spencer's fault. Like, that's just an easy out. That's just an easy explanation. You know? Easy way out, dude. Easy way out. I was just checking to see if I got any response at all from the people about what in the world did they play at the Redfall, what did they play at the Redfall event? I really want to know. No answers. No answers. We'll see if we get one. I'm genuinely curious. Like, what did you guys play at the Redfall capture event? Because this game is garbage. Nobody's defending Xbox because of friends. It was about changing to a new ecosystem with friends because of a new single-player game. Makes sense? Sure, kill you. But again... that would be like saying, well, I'm not going to go eat at that restaurant because I don't know the waitstaff and I don't like that kind of food. That's not a defense of the restaurant you go to as far as food quality. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not like a dodge, but it's a dodge. It's like, okay, but that doesn't defend the quality. Like, imagine that PlayStation doesn't exist right now. Just imagine that PlayStation 5 does not exist. what would people lick their wounds with? Seriously, if the PlayStation ecosystem didn't exist, how on earth would these people on Twitter lick their wounds? There'd be no Forspoken to make fun of right now, even though Forspoken's not a first-party Sony title. There'd be no $70 price point to point to and to laugh. Oh yeah, you're getting gouged. At least we didn't pay for Redfall. Nice own goal, by the way. If PlayStation didn't exist, how would you be licking your wounds right now? If all I had was a Series X, I'd be livid. Are you freaking kidding me? I would be furious. But what am I going to play? Another shovelware indie title? What am I going to do? You know, I guess wait for Zelda? Where's the 60 FPS? If PlayStation didn't exist, I don't know what some of these people would do. They'd have an aneurysm, I guess, or make fun of Nintendo. They'd be like, oh, this is bad. What do I do? Distract. Point to 7-year-old hardware. Like, you know, blood would squirt out their nose. Well, but Zelda and the Nintendo Switch, yeah, the Nintendo Switch is the size of a TI-85 calculator, and it's 7 years old. And Forspoken isn't a bad game. I'm going on official record. Forspoken kicks the snot out of Redfall. Do you understand me? Forspoken is a kangaroo. Maybe back on its back. It's not amazing, but it just, boom, it bunny kicks Redfall square in the jaw. Redfall is a disaster of a game. It's a joke. Forspoken was just kind of mediocre. Forspoken wasn't a 9 out of 10 game. It was like a 7. Yeah, kind of boring. The main protagonist was what is this? I played the Forspoken demo, and I played the Forspoken launch. And I'm here to tell you, as much grief as I gave Forspoken, as much criticism as I gave Forspoken, go watch my streams, by the way, if you think I'm a Sony pony. I ripped Forspoken a new bunghole. But, as bad as Forspoken was, bro, Redfall is a joke in comparison. It's a joke. Forspoken runs. Forspoken doesn't look like a game that was built in 2 years. Forspoken doesn't have textures that take 30 seconds to pop in. I'm having fun. Shut up. That no one asked that. You go to a theme park and half the rides don't work. I'm having fun. Be quiet. Dave, we came here to ride rides. I don't care if you're having fun. Dave. I don't know why I call him Dave. You know? Like, yeah, Forspoken's a little bit weird. You know, maybe a little cringy. Maybe not revolutionary, but it wasn't broken. It wasn't some broken down piece of trash. That's such a Dave thing to say. Well, I'm having fun. Shut up. No one asked that. We're assessing the quality of the product. We're not asking if you're having fun. I could play Uno with half of a deck and an eye patch on. If I'm with my friends and we're throwing back some beers, I could have fun doing that. But that doesn't mean that that's a great way to play Uno. Like, come on. You get one first impression, Forspoken blew it? Yeah, well, you know what's funny? Forspoken, as a single-player game, managed to have a higher peak player count than Redfall, an online co-op game. Whew. Wow. The 24-hour peak of players playing Forspoken is at 12,000. Redfall's at 6,000. A game where you're literally supposed to play with other people has half the player peak of Forspoken. Do you want to keep invoking Forspoken? I could do this all day. Go ahead, invoke Forspoken. Starfield coming out a few weeks after Armored Core 6 doesn't bode well. The game needs to do well or it's going to get buried. Thank you for another $5 Super Chat tip. It's amazing. Forspoken apparently is twice the game that Redfall is. It has a 60% on Steam, and it had 12,000 people playing it at one point in time. And Redfall is literally half of that. Redfall doesn't have a 60%. Redfall has a 30% on Steam. And it has had 6,000 people playing at total peak. Actually, Forspoken's doing much better now. In the last 30 days, it's sitting at a 72%. It's sitting at a 72%. Almost as if when they went in and patched out the problems, all of a sudden, it's a 7 out of 10 game. That sounds about right to me. Mediocre game. 7 out of 10. It gets the job done. Once they patched all the garbage. Freaking Redfall at 30%. And you want to invoke Forspoken. You know what's liberating? You want to know why we say the truth will set you free? Because telling the truth is liberating. It really is. It's just so light. You don't have to drag around some weird burden on your back of, I gotta toe the party line. I gotta find a way to be positive. Just tell the truth. It's so much more liberating. It's so easy to sit down and be like, that was crap. That was bad. That sucked. That was no good. When I played Forspoken, I wasn't like, oh no. What will happen to my Sony Pony channel? No, I dogged it because it was bad. I dogged Forspoken because I didn't like it. And telling the truth's not hard. It's easy. It's way easier than lying. You just tell the truth. Ask Cowboy. He's been in here all the time debating me about Forspoken. I was harsh to Forspoken. Lono, Forspoken is the best 2023 game this year so far. Forspoken's a good... I'm sorry, I twitch when I hear insane things. Forspoken's a good game. I've been telling you this. Get it together. Well, you know what? You did say 2023 this far. There's like, what? What's it competing with? Hi-Fi Rush? Get out of here. You ever eat something real sour and your whole body like twitches? He's like, yeah, it's the best game of 2023 so far. I'm like, oh, what? Forspoken's the best game you played this year. Stop lying. No, it's not. Jedi Survivor is 1,000 times better than Forspoken. Jedi Survivor is buggy, but it's 10 times the game that Forspoken is. Are you kidding me? Just the story and dialogue alone of Jedi Survivor is like, Forspoken. Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, and don't forget about Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy is way better than Forspoken. What are you even talking about? Resident Evil 4, way better than Forspoken. Cowboy! Go make another video about how Nintendo's for children, because that's how crazy you sound right now. Forspoken's the best game of this year. What are you doing? Hogwarts Legacy stands to be one of the single most commercially successful game this year. Jedi Survivor's got amazing reviews. It's just buggy. It's not a bad game. It's a buggy mess. There's a difference. Forspoken's not a great game. It's fine. It's a 7. Survivor's like an 8 to 9. Resident Evil 4 remake. Oh, it's a remake. Doesn't count. Okay. Hogwarts Legacy's a solid 8.5. No question. Great game. Tons of depth. Tons to do. Very excellent story. Come on. What games are you playing? Get off GameFly, Cowboy, and play some games. Play some real games. All the magic you can do in Forspoken, you're way more powerful than all those games named. Just listen to the Cowboy. That's not the measure of a game's quality, Cowboy. That's not the measure of a game's quality. There has to be game flow. There has to be a compelling story. It has to be immersive. There was no game flow to the combat in Forspoken. There was nothing winsome about the story or the writing. There was nothing immersive about it. No. He said this year, Mont Dog. So Returnal, I mean, we can't really invoke Returnal. Quality mode's better in Jedi Survivor. So I played Jedi Survivor last night on my PS5, and I can report that they fixed performance mode in HDR. It looks way better. I'm still getting frame stutters and tearing. I don't think that game's going to run smooth anytime soon. I think it's going to take about a month. I think it's 3 or 4 patches away from being what I would say, okay, great, now I can play with confidence that nothing major is going to happen. But I'll say this, the story, the story's good. It's good. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm super early in the game, and I'm like, this is why all the Star Wars fans are excited, because this is awesome. It's a modern-day, never-ending story. Cowboy, listen to me. If you're going to review games, and you're going to talk about games, stop being unidimensional. You got to expand your horizons. Make yourself a checklist. Story. Now, underneath story, you got to put bullet points. Writing, pacing, voice acting. Okay? There's one thing you got to talk about. Then you got to talk about gameplay. And within gameplay, you have to talk about the systems, the content loop, the combat, the enemy AI, the game flow, the rhythms. You got to talk about all those things. Then you got to talk about graphical performance. How does it look? Within its art style, is it achieving its aims? Because you can't compare a game like Final Fantasy 16 to photorealistic games like Horizon Forbidden West, different art styles. So within its art styles, did it achieve the graphical fidelity? Is the performance stable? You gotta check all those boxes. Homie, if you do that with Forspoken, you're gonna look silly saying that Forspoken's better than Resident Evil 4 or Hogwarts Legacy or Jedi Survivor. You're gonna have a really hard time making your case. Don't be so unidimensional. Here's what you do, and this is why I love you. You're driven by passion. And what your passion does is, if you enjoy something, that dictates your conclusion. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not the same as assessing something's quality. Do you understand the difference? I don't do this for anybody else, by the way. Because I like you. Like real life like you. Your passion drives you to the point that you got to be able to see through that sometimes. You're like, man, I love this game. But if I'm honest, these are the areas where it falls short. But I still loved it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But you start talking crazy when you're going to say, Forspoken's the best game this year. Oh, come on, bro. Come on. Taking these notes down, Lono, but you're still wrong. Committed to the end, dude. That's why I love you. Like, I love people who come from passion and conviction. There's no malice in your heart. And that's why I love you. Because I'm similar, right? No malice. I get passionate and I argue from passion and I'm very stubborn and convicted, but there's no malice. I'm not like wishing ill on Xbox or when games are bad, right? There's no malice. It's just like, what the frick is going on, right? That's that passion coming up. That's why I like you. I'm like, this guy, I can F with this guy. Like, I like the way he handles things. But if you're going to start assessing a game's quality, if you're going to start assessing a game's standing against other games, you got to go through those checklists, because that's how these scoring systems make sense. That's how being able to say a game is a 9 or an 8, you have to start to be able to make sense of that. There's always the trump card of enjoyment to a certain degree. Because you could conclude Forspoken's like a 7, Hogwarts is a little bit stronger in these other areas, but I tell you what, I liked it more. And see, that's going to vibe with people. They're going to be like, oh, okay, I got a fair breakdown of the game, but my man's is saying that he likes it. He's saying he had fun. Do you see? That's what I try to do. You got to try to divide those things. I said the same thing about Jedi Survivor. I was like, ordinarily, I'd be super critical of these things, but the game's so good and I love the story so much, I'm just kind of eating around the fat, acknowledging the shortcomings and allowing my subjective opinion to be couched in light of the truth, maybe in spite of it sometimes. To be fair, I said it's the best game I played this year. I haven't played those other games yet. You don't pay attention to details. Did you actually say that? Hang on. You said, Lono, Forspoken is the best 2023 game this year so far. Forspoken is a good game. I've been telling you, get it together. I go to the tapes. You said, this is why I got riled up. My brain fires fast, so sometimes I get ahead of myself. But you said, Lono Forspoken is the best 2023 game this year so far. Not the best game you played so far. You told me, you said Lono Forspoken is the best game you played this year. Stop lying. And I'm like, hold on a minute. I played some games, bro. I played some Hogwarts. I played some Resident Evil 4. I played some Jedi Survivor. Slow down, brother. Slow down. Slow down now. You told me it's against the game I played. You don't know me. Listen, ordinarily, I wouldn't say that kind of stuff with a smile, but I know, you're a good dude. You got a good heart. I know you don't mean, you're not in here trying to be that guy. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee about a half an hour ago, 2 bags of Frickmas. My man, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Caught in 8K. This man moonwalking his statements back. I'll accept his concession where he's like, I've not played those games. Like I said a little bit ago, man, get off Gamefly. Just start playing games. Come on, dude. Play Hogwarts. Play Jedi. Well, I would wait on Survivor. Dadgummit, it's so good, though. Jedi Survivor, man, I would wait a couple weeks. I hate that I have to say that because that actually breaks my heart. It's painful. It hurts me to say. It's like when I had to write people up and fire them as a manager. I didn't relish it. $5 tip from Cowboy. Guys, don't blame Lono. He doesn't like details, which is why he's looking silly right now. Lesson learned, the Cowboy always wins. What do you mean? I went back and read what you said. You said it was the best game of 2023. And then the second thing you said, after I got wound up, you said, don't lie, Lono, it's the best game you played. And I was like, what are you talking about? I played Jedi Survivor. I think Survivor's better. What you talking about? Listen, you should get hired by one of these media outlets, man. The receipts are staring you in the face. You're like, Cowboy always wins, baby. This man. TJK, I know he's just kidding around. I know. I'm playing along. I do. I like Cowboy. Cowboy is a lesson. He's a lesson in you can be wrong if you're likable. Now you got to be careful. If you swing and you miss too much, people are going to be like, why am I going to watch this guy's content, right? You got to be careful. You can't make it part of your brand to be wrong. I'm not saying you are. There's been a couple of times where I've been like, okay, that's a good point. Like when you're, calling out Doc about Game Pass. I think you've made some good points in those videos. You just got to be careful. Likeability and your charm will only get you so far. You start racking up the view count, and then you got videos where you're looking silly. There ain't gonna be a lot of loyalty there. They'll be like, this guy's just playing around. This guy's just goofing. He's the Leroy Jenkins of content creation. He just charges in. I haven't seen one person in chat defending Xbox. It's all Sony guys. Look at these guys. Xbox fans won't ask for good games. Xbox players are stupid. No, I've had some people in here today saying why they stick with Xbox kill you. I have. We've had some people. You're epic, bro. This is why we love you. Appreciate that. Real. What's the saying? Real recognizes real. The people that I've been kind of messing with, having Doc on and joking with, I can tell I'm dealing with real people. I'm not worried about somebody stabbing me in the back in a couple of years. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. Maybe in other circles, but not the circles I've been messing with. I think Survivor is great, but I think you can wait for a sale. Playing on Jedi Master, I think some of the boss fights break down, and you can see how the combat has some minor flaws. Matty Plays said he felt like it was better balanced at the higher difficulties than the previous game. The previous game, when you put it all the way at the highest difficulty, some of the fights broke down. And Maddie said that he felt that it was better balanced at the higher difficulties. Is it breaking down? Excuse me. Is it breaking down because are you getting like stutters and performance issues in the fight? Or is it breaking down because like there's design flaws? There's nothing wrong with loving Xbox as long as you admit it's in a bad state. This is what people don't understand. You cannot be as critical as I have been. As critical as I have been of Xbox, you can't be that critical from hate. You can't. Like, watch the guys who just dog on Xbox and they make their super trollish thumbnails, right? Watch those guys and then compare their content to mine. No shade. I'm not taking swings. That's a brand. There's a brand out there of dogging on Xbox, hating on Xbox. That is not what I'm doing. You can't talk this long. You can't do shows of this length just hating. It comes from, bro, this is my first console, like, love. After Nintendo, this is it, man. Like, Xbox, baby. You got me back into console gaming with the 360. It's where all my friends lists are. It's how I started my content. I literally started content creation with an Xbox. So, you can't get this critical. You cannot get this critical if you don't care about the thing you're talking about. I would just hate it, dog it, make fun of it, troll it, and move on. And the reason I don't want to do that is that's never been in my content plan. That you cannot curate a community around that. It doesn't work. It's why guys that are much bigger than me, that are like trying to make fun of me and dog on me, it's why their viewership will plateau. Your viewership will always plateau. Your community will always plateau because nobody likes to sit around steeped in hate, trolling, negativity for forever. Eventually, people are just like, yeah, but you're just not doing anything anymore. You're just making fun of people. You're just trolling people. There's no substance here. It's like trying to heat your home with fireworks. It's showy and it's loud, but there's no warmth there. To be fair, Eugene says, if Xbox fans were more demanding and held Microsoft to the standard they hold Sony, Xbox would be an amazing platform. Please bust out the Sharpie and make this happen. Reforge Dark Roast, coming in limited edition. Just wait, green bags. Oh, that's funny. I have to bump up the difficulty. I'm finding the default difficulty to be easy. Okay, we've seen this in the trailers. I want to ask you guys about this fight. This is not a spoiler. You guys have seen in the trailers where Cal, in like kind of a Western scene, he confronts that guy who has like the big electric staff. He confronts him and then you fight him. That fight, I killed him so fast. I was like, did I over level or something? I was like, what happened? He died really fast. I don't think I'm that good. I played well. I got good blocks and good hits on him. I'm way more aggressive in Jedi Survivor than I was in Jedi Fallen Order. From playing Sekiro, I'm way more aggressive. Like, I don't let up. I'm just wailing on them every chance I get. He died and it shocked me. I was like, why is he already dead? I'm on normal. Oh no, Alex covered my Xbox It's Over video and he gave it a B. When I'm being serious, my points do hit. That's what I'm saying. You got to lean in on that. And listen, Cowboy. Oh my gosh. Right out here on Main Street. I'm only saying this because I love you and I know you can take it. You got to stop doing non-gaming content. You got to make a separate channel for that. You can't do what you're doing. Nobody does what you're doing, and there's a reason. You can't mix. Your channel needs to be gaming. You want to vlog? You want to joke around? You want to talk about food? You want to talk about TV shows? You got to do that somewhere else. You got to just dig in on the gaming. That's it. Nothing else. Somebody said something. Oh, Brooklyn said, you change things. You see it now. I had somebody tell me in a member stream that that I've got people coming after me because they feel threatened by me. And I'm here to say, in a public stream, I would rather just work with people. Like, I would rather just work with people. You want to react to my content? Keep it classy, and I'll do a response, and we both benefit from that. You want to have a clash of opinions and a disagreement? Don't be an insult-hurling douchebag, and then maybe we could do something together. Like, I'm not out here trying to squash people or hurt people. I like working with people. I like bringing people on. I like reacting to your content. I can't do that if you're out here calling me names and insulting me and being lowbrow, right? I'd much rather work with people rather than watch 30 seconds of your reaction and be like, I can't do anything with this. He's just being mean and unkind. I'm not making content with that. And I shut it off. The minute I watch a reaction to my content and somebody's calling me nasty names and calling me a grifter and insulting me, I just shut it off. I don't even watch it. I've got better things to do with my time than numb my brain with that. That's not what I'm trying to do out here. I love working with other people. Look at what I did with Alex. Alex reacted to my stuff. I DM'd him. I said, I loved it. Thanks so much. And now we've been on a podcast together, and I consider him a friend of the show. I consider him a friend. I would much rather do that. We can go places together. We're not going anywhere if all we do is hurl stuff at each other. There ain't no way for that. There's no pathway for that. You're going to capstone your content if you just punch everybody in the eye. Everyone says that, but I can't stop covering everything. Cowboy. Make a separate channel, brother. Read the thumbnail. It's going to break Xbox. What's good, McCluskey? Hey, another VIP from Scotty B. Welcome back in, Scotty. Part of that, me really loves that about the game. If you play like a dummy, and enemies will wreck you. Good parries, blocks, and timed aggressiveness gets rid of the enemy so quickly. A lightsaber tends to do that. You know what, Nick? I hope you're right. I do. I hope you're right. I might have to bump up the difficulty, though. Once the game is running smooth and the hitches and the tears are gone, I think I might bump up the difficulty, because when I killed that guy that quickly, I was like, well, that didn't feel... It didn't feel like a moment. It felt surprising. I was like, oh gosh, he's already dead. Did you change some settings, or is chat just popping off more than usual? Trey. We're on a little bit of a thing. It's been good. I'll just say this. In the words of Tony Stark, it's good to be back. That's all I'll say. It's good to be back. All y'all that have been waiting for the show, you've been waiting for the main event to start, you've been waiting for things to get back to where they were. Yeah, well, it's good to be back, because we're doing it. We're doing the thing that we've wanted to do. We're doing our show our way, on our terms, and yeah, we're just going to keep doing that. Yeah, Chrono Odyssey. We might check that out in members. You guys want to go to members? I owe you 5 gifteds right now. I might end up owing you more. We're going to go to members in a little bit. Let's hit 700 likes. Smash that like button. I've been playing on the hardest difficulty on Jedi, says Wired Rope, and that guy took me 4 or 5 tries. Okay. So I might need to bump the difficulty then. Might need to. Kill You says, I have 0 power over it. Y'all literally delusional if you think me complaining that Xbox will do anything. I don't know about that, Kill You. I think if there was... Listen to this. Listen to what I said about what happens if Starfield bombs. Last straw for many, mass Game Pass exodus, and loyalty will be at a critical level. Like, critically low level. That's when things would change, I would think. You know what I'm saying? All right, thanks so much, Brooklyn Breed. I appreciate that. Yeah, we can check out some trailers in members if you guys want to do that. We used to do that. We used to check out trailers while I ate my lunch. We could do that today. Let's have some fun. Let's get some more members. Let's take some of these people with us. Take them hostage, right? They've been here for 2.5 hours, man. They'll get that membership. We can bring them with us. Starfield Better Deliver, says Hussein Abdullah. Says, I am expecting Skyrim levels of hype and success. Listen, Hussein, I hope you're right. Bethesda can do it. It's not a question of vision. It's not a question of can they build what they promised. I think they can. It's a question of whether or not it's going to run well. That's been my primary thought for so long. Yo, Stone Spire says, we can keep this going. He's like, let's bring some people with us. 33. You guys don't have to do big gifted member bombs. You don't even need to wait for a gifted member, man. Just become one. It's $5. You get a whole month of extra content. And if you pick the VIP tier, you get my end of the week debrief. It's unfiltered. It's a little spicy. And my producer joins me. You get a glimpse into content planning and how we think about the show. It's really cool. You get that in the normal day-to-day debriefs, by the way. If you are any level member and you come into a members content debrief, you get a glimpse into that. We talk about those things sometimes. I'm not on story mode. You know what's funny, Casual? I checked. I was like, did I bump the difficulty down by mistake? I double checked to make sure I wasn't on story mode. I'm on the one where the bars that fill, you know how you like the bars below the difficulty, it's right down the middle. I'm on normal. I double checked. I was like, what the frick? Why did he die so fast? We have an opportunity. If you're interested, please call or text us. I definitely don't pre-order or buy games day one anymore. If there's issues with them, they'll be patched later on. That's when I come around to pick them up. Plus, they'll go on sale too. That's Jedi Knight difficulty. VIP Friday night with Jackbox, taking shots while Lono and Madam play was epic. Yeah, VIPs get some advantages too. Like they got the game codes for Jackbox first. So we get 16 more likes on this video. We're super close to 700 likes. Define spicy. Spicy like, oh no, it's Alex, or Lono becomes a frick spicy. I mean, it's not safe for work. It's the one. There's two streams that you can get that are not safe for work. Friday night with my wife, and then the unfiltered VIP stream. Yo, my man Gaming Forte, we go way back. He says, give the energy that you receive. Always like that about you. Redfall's a disaster. Hope Starfield's better, but unfortunately, I'm not confident. I appreciate that. Thank you, Forte. $20 gifted members from CrossFit Nerd. That is huge. Takes us all the way to 53 members. I now owe you guys 10. That's massive. That's just pushing the chat, dude. That is so generous, CrossFit Nerd, man. Thank you so much. You guys have been bringing it. I hope everybody that gets a gifted membership, I hope you come with us. We're going to go to a members debrief in just a second. Let me schedule it. This is an opportunity to just debrief on the day. It's really, really fun. You're going to like it. Did you try Straight Lights? I thought it looked really good. Is the combat good? Is it smooth? Because I thought it looked really good. Sure. I tried the Jedi Performance patch on PS5 Mantis. They fixed HDR in performance mode, like it actually looked really good. But then when I started moving around, I was still having stuttering and I was still having screen tearing. Very disappointing. CrossFit Nerd says, no problem, love your content. I appreciate it so much. Sorry, I'm getting text. I have an appointment that they're asking if I want to change the time. Not today, but I'm having to reply to it. Sorry. I don't like doing like texts while I'm streaming. But all right, let's reuse this. Members only. Wednesday, members only. That's all on. That's all set. Members only. VIP is where it's at, says the postman. I got a banger trailer ready for members. Yeah, if you guys want to come to members with a bunch of trailers, I mean, we can check them out. That'd be fun. Same dude, I'm just gonna rough it on quality mode. Pity the game is so good. Hang on. Sorry. Having to look at my calendar. The GT movie trailer looked pretty decent. It does look pretty good. All right. I gotta go back here to the community page. Okay, cool. Take that time. Yeah, I don't like doing that. On members only, like sometimes I'll like pull my phone out and check stuff. Sorry, I don't like doing that. Road to 1 million subs. Let's go. Best gaming podcast ever. Yo, what's good, King Titan? I have a random question that's been making me a little crazy. How do you make a Mandalorian helmet for a baby Yoda? Do his ears stick out? Do they get tucked in, covered in armor? Yeah, does his ears sticking out? Does that count as not wearing the helmet? That's a good question. Insomniac tweeted, there's a PlayStation blog. They're finally separating the PlayStation 5 remaster for 2018 from Miles Ultimate. Oh, so like you can buy them separately? Why is Redfall so bad? Oh, I forgot to put that in frame. Good man, creature. I like realized that this morning. I was like, well, it's too late. Hitting 100,000 subs this year. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're on it. We're on a good growth pattern, and things are going good for us. Okay, Discord did that thing where it like forced a restart. Request to speak on stage? Speak on stage. All right, sorry, Discord, I'm back. I don't know what that was. Discord just rebooted itself. Can't wait for YouTube, Lono to get his YouTube plaque. MVG says, I played about 12 hours of Redfall, both PC and Xbox, both single player and co-op. Honestly, not that bad of a game summary. With more time and polish to address key issues, it would have gone from mid to good. Co-op with friends is fun. Listen, man. I'm never going to tell somebody that their opinion is wrong, but that's just a hard one to substantiate. You hit 27K 2 weeks ago, and you're already over 28. That's true. But let's just settle down. There's only so many weeks in a year. You know? There's only so many weeks in the year. Okay. Last call. Couple minutes. I'll give you like 3 minutes. If you guys want to push this, if not, I'm going to gift the 10 that I owe you. I owe you guys 10 members right now. Last call if you guys want to hit any more milestones. It makes me gift more members, by the way. So if you guys want to do that, I'm going to give you a few minutes to do it. That math doesn't add up. What math doesn't add up? I'm going to double check the lights just flicker. I'm going to double check the VIP count as well to make sure I have the right count. We have 244 VIPs currently, and we have 2980. We're 20 members below 3,000. We're holding 3,000 members. That's amazing. You're not counting for the 50 people who unsub for every bad dad joke. Lono, one last thing. I didn't even know who Alex was, and someone hit me up and said he took it. He looks like he's covering your video. That was cool. Yeah. Alex, I like how Alex does reactions. Because, listen, he'll punch you square in the face if he feels like it's a fair shot. You know what I'm saying? He missed, like, some of his swings he took at me. I think he totally whiffed and missed just because he wasn't familiar with me. And once he got more familiar with me, like, I think I would love to see him react to something now. I don't know what he would react to that I've made, but, you know, because if he can't throw any salt on it, you know, it's not as good. It's not as good. He likes to be able to throw a little salt in there. I had the highest hopes for Starfield over the years. I thought was taken even before Fallout 4 being developed. I sub for the dad jokes, though. I appreciate you subbing for the dad jokes. Thank you. Last minute, guys. One last minute, and then I'm going to gift, and then we're going to go to members. So if you're not a member, you can come with us if you become one. It's only $5. You can click the join button. You can click the $sign at the bottom of the chat. The more often you watch, the more you will get a chance of getting a member when we gift. Every single person who has ever had a reaction made about them that is negative all feel that they have missed, that they got something incorrect. They didn't understand something. Right, and I just think that's always going to happen. You know what I'm saying? He ripped everyone but me that day, and Doc was after me, and he did him bad. Brother Redfall, we don't talk about anymore in June. Wait, somebody said something? So-and-so made a video about you the other day? Yeah, that was the one that I watched, and as soon as he started insulting me, I was like, I can't do anything with this. You know what I'm saying? I just shut it off, and then I had to record my Star Wars video. Like, I was too busy. You know what I mean? Please do a collab with Colt Eastwood. I offered an invitation after the Redfall thing happened, and he decided to throw in with the guy that was, you know, making fun of me and saying something about, you know, him being bigger than me. And he threw in with them and laughed. And I was like, okay, you know, I was being polite and extending an offer. And, you know, that's all I can do, brother. That's all I can do. I'm just out here being nice. I don't feel like I've taken any cheap shots at anybody, any cheap swings. It's like, hey, man, come on the show. I'd love to hear your perspective. I would love to do a show with Colt and Maddie Plays and be like, bro, what happened? What happened? What was at the Redfall preview? How different was it than the final product? What happened? I think that'd be a great show. I think that'd be a killer show. I'm not going to be Diane Sawyer and try and like have a gotcha moment with them. What in the world, bro? Bigger, as in has a bigger channel. Cryo upgraded to VIP, taking us to 245 VIPs. Thank you so much, Cryo, for upgrading. Zubair says, I mean, the bladder size of a kitten's bladder, not the bladder the size of a kitten. I know. Did he make fun of you and say that you have a kitten-sized bladder? Do a collab with excessive profanity? I miss Cody. I like him. I miss seeing, you know, pictures of his kiddo and talking to him about being a dad. He was a good friend. That was a lifetime ago, though. All right, let me gift the 10 members that I owe you guys. You You can pass that along to him. I don't reach out to people that kind of immediately, if they want to reach out to me, they can, because I do miss Cody. There we go. There's the 10 I owe you. You guys can come with me. Lono, I can't wait for the day you're like, I hope I get a chance to be on the Cowboy Show. I used to give that guy advice. Hey, man, just remember me. That's all I ever ask. You just remember me. You know what I'm saying? Some people forget. Some people forget. Okay, I'm going to put a link in chat. We're going to head to members. If you want to come with us... Oh, wait, I don't know if I don't think I set up redirect. Hang on. Okay. They all forget. Yeah, Creature knows. All right, I'm going to put a link in chat. You can click the link in chat to head to members. You can become a member. You guys over here on Kick, I'm going to shut the stream down. You'll have to come over and make sure your membership's active on YouTube. Okay. And then I'm going to put a link in chat for you guys. This is a member stream, so you don't have to worry about like smashing the like button or anything like that. You have to worry about smashing the like button on this video, though. Before you leave this video, make sure you smash the like button. Also, listen, anytime I end a stream, if you're not a member and you can't come to the next thing, if you really like my content, always remember to loop back to the live stream and leave a nice comment. You guys have chatted like crazy today, and none of those chat messages count as a comment on the video once it's a past broadcast. So if it's ever something you feel like you can take a second to do, that really helps out my past broadcast. So always consider doing that. I usually say that to members. I'm saying it to you now. All right? Thanks so much for being a member. Maybe you got a gifted membership. Maybe you're one of our new members. Always remember you can pick up your own membership by upgrading to a Member Plus or VIP. That will take you out of the gifted member pool, and use the link in the description of all of my videos to get into the Discord. There's an end of the week VIP unfiltered debrief. That's a reason to become a VIP. We currently have 245 VIPs. This Friday night, my wife's going to play Redfall. She's like, what would a non-gamer think of that game? I was like, let's show people. It'll be hilarious. We're not going to play it the entire time. We'll have drinks and maybe play some goofy games as well. That's a great reason for you to be in the Discord so you don't miss out on those shows, as well as when we do the Just Dance stream. You guys did unlock that. I'm going to end the previous stream about Starfield. Make sure you guys check that one out and leave a comment if you watch the past broadcast.